Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Chatting with Nuts. I'm, of course, your host, Jimmy Nuts, and today I am going to be accompanied by my first guest of 2022. We took a little breather, and we're back, and I wanted to bring it back kind of to the original days, before the hype train had left the station, and I was trying to find people to come on and talk to me for a few hours. One of the first people that volunteered was my boy Christian from Lost in Discovery, and I felt like it was an appropriate time to bring him back. He's kind of making a resurgence here on YouTube, which is pretty amazing, and it's an honor to have you today, man. How you doing?
Thanks, dude. I'm great. It's great to be back. And just for the Chatting with Nuts enthusiasts, I was there when Jimmy was like, "Should I start a podcast?"
That's right.
And I was just like, "Dude, you got to do it." And approaching 6K subs, mate. Look at you go! Absolutely killing it.
I was going to say some things have changed since the last time you were here.
Yeah.
Apparently this is a thing now, which is wild. But I love doing it. And it was actually kind of hard being away a month, because I think the last one we did was like that right before Christmas for December, but I had some scheduling conflicts with work and whatnot. But it feels good to be back, and I don't feel rusty because I've been doing the Malazan live stream. So I don't feel too rusty, but you, my friend, you've been kind of in the shadows lurking. I've seen you in the chat a few times, but what's it feel like? What's it feel like being back on the live?
Well, when you said you're not rusty because you're streaming all the time, I'm incredibly rusty. I'm like bent out of shape, just like in the corner. I don't even know what I'm doing. It feels good though. Like it's weird how quickly you get back into the swing of things. But like just plugging in my mic now and setting up the lights, I'm like, what? Is this what I do? Like, what the hell's going on?
But the boys are back in town, man.
The Nut God is back. Wow.
The Nut God is back.
Yeah. Oh my God, so many people. Yeah, no, it feels great, man, and it's like it's easy because we've known each other a while now, and it's just good times.
Well, I knew coming back from a month off, I was like, I got to start off the year on the right foot, and I had to bring somebody that I'm comfortable with, because me and you, we've sat in calls before for 3 hours, no cameras or anything, just shooting the breeze and talking shop, so this is something we would be doing whether or not there are microphones and cameras in front of us, and those are always my favorite conversations.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy, and like the chat is saying, man, the setup is clean. It's a clean setup.
Oh, people are excited about. Oh yeah, Vess is putting some love in there. Hopefully these lights don't burn out. I don't know. I've been running them for like couple hours, so we'll see what happens. I think everyone's so happy to see you back, man.
Yeah, it's great to see everyone as well. Oh yeah, everyone's appreciating the Junji Ito cover. Yeah, Junji Ito is the guy who does all the horror manga, and my friend got me like one of his art books, and it's so damn cool, man. I don't know what I can get away with showing, but it's very cool. Just with all the people like showing any sort of manga and just channel takedowns.
Yeah,
careful.
You gotta be careful. Gotta be careful, man. They come for your head. Alex says, "Welcome back to YouTube."
Oh, thanks, Alex, dude. It's like I've never left because I've been hanging out in your streams,
Well, that is something I guess we could talk about. Me and Christian, it's not like the first time we've talked in a while. We talk about every day.
Yeah, we're just talking about House of the Dragon and Dune constantly, and I'm trying to get you to read Attack on Titan every day. It's just like it's just a constant. It's like part of the schedule. It's like breakfast, Attack on Titan to Jimmy, lunch, tell him about Attack on Titan,
reminiscing how awesome Robert Baratheon is.
Yes. Oh, Bobby B.
Poor Bobby B having to look. They are at ends, but it's in the corner, so maybe he can't see it.
Yeah.
Kevin's on his lunch break, hanging out. What's up? Chatting about how great Chatting with Nuts is on Chatting with Nuts. Yeah, we're really meta here.
Yeah. We're just like, how good is this podcast, everyone? Welcome.
Yeah. Isn't it great we're here?
Yeah. Isn't it so cool? Like, we're just talking on a podcast right now. Yeah.
Alex says, why am I not included in these House of Dragon and Dune conversations? Man, I would love to talk Dune with Alex. Is like, when I think of people who like really enjoyed Dune, he read it like before I did. And I always think about how excited he was when he read it. And it got me way more fired up than usual for a book, especially when it's like a little bit older and you're not sure where it's going to land with you. I know you love the movie, right?
Oh, dude. I was like overwhelmed by it. As soon as that dude like throat sung at the start and it's like dreams and messages from the deep, I'm like 10 out of 10. Just 10 out of 10. This is the best movie I've ever seen.
For me, when I'm sitting in I'm sitting in the IMAX and I hear the bagpipes hit, I go,
Oh, dude.
"What a madman! Zimmer's a madman."
Dude, he's a mad. The bagpipes are House Atreides, man. And like when they're running into battle and the bagpipes kick in, it just like activate something. You're like ready to go. I just thought it was amazing, and I hadn't read the book. I have a thing where it's like, especially in this break, I've been in the hugest reading slump, and I don't know. Like Dune was one of those ones because it's like the original. You're like, I'll get to it one day. You're like not in a
Yes.
rush.
Yeah,
You're like,
because
everyone's
it's
read it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows about it, so whatever. But when I saw the movie, I was like, dude, this is a must read. So I have started it. But I've started like 6 or 7 books in the past, like however many months.
Yeah, I say you've been
Yeah.
sampling a lot.
I've been sampling. I've been like taking free samples of just like who's my next author, and I don't know, man. We can talk about it. There's so many that I've tried.
Well, yeah, we should. I mean, so let's start out with the last book that I know you loved, that I also loved, which was Wisdom of Crowds.
Yeah, Wisdom of Crowds hardback is propping up my laptop as we speak. It's carrying this entire podcast. That's how good this book was.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Where do we begin, mate? With
Well, how do you feel like the Age of Madness trilogy? Obviously, we're not going to talk spoilers because some people might have read it, but like, what did you feel at the end of the trilogy? Because Joe Abercrombie is your favorite author, right?
Well, like I would say he's like my favorite writer, if that makes sense. Like I just love the way he writes.
Yeah.
Favorite author like changes, but like
Yeah.
just like value, like you said, like value per page, like per sentence, it's like Joe, because it's just so witty and just dripping with personality. So just to like catch people up, because I'm sure some people like would remember where I was up to. Like last thing I reviewed was the Heroes, and then
Had a
Red
great thing, though.
Country. Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, and then Red Country was decent. Like I didn't love it. Like it was like when you have an amazing author and they have a book that's not as good as all their other 10 out of 10s, so you sound harsher than you should be. It's like that. That was Red Country for me. Like amazing book, but for Joe, it was like a little less.
Yeah, I loved Red Country, but I'm willing to admit it's because of the biases that I hold within the series and the characters, and that's all I can say.
Yeah.
But I think that's the more popular opinion, would be that Red Country is a dip in the quality.
Yeah, well, it's more just like it's kind of different to some degree. I don't know. Don't worry about Red Country. Like, and then the Age of Madness trilogy comes out, and part of me wants to say it's better than the original First Law trilogy, but you can't say that without the original First Law trilogy like existing. Because there's so many like legacy characters, if you want to call them that. And if you've read the other books, it's like automatic. They could say with like one word, and you're so excited because you have like 1,000 pages of history with this character. But like beyond that, the story I feel like was way stronger overall.
Yeah, I mean,
Would you agree?
I think we could all agree that the blade itself meanders a little bit. I think Joe's even said that, he kind of went with a noir feeling, and then it turns out that in an epic fantasy, that doesn't always start out the story on the best foot.
Right. Yeah.
Which in the subsequent books, he obviously did a lot better with that, I think. But Age of Madness was just like, cheeks blown back, eyes, I felt like stuff was happening constantly while still maintaining like that very, very high level of character voice that he has.
Yeah. The pace was like breakneck.
Yeah.
And I kind of stand by that. A Little Hatred, which is the first one, is my favorite. I know that's not very popular because I feel like Trouble with Peace is most people's favorite. Is that right?
I would say, this is all right. I'm going to cop out real quick, and I don't care. He wrote all three at the same time, and I feel like you can tell. Like they're all three very like, to me, even across the board.
Yeah. No, I would say that. I would say like the quality is consistent. It's more just like which like narrative beats I liked the most.
Yeah.
And I think A Little Hatred was so good because there was it was kind of that perfect crossover of the old guard and the new kids. And it was like, and then like Trouble with Peace, the old guys kind of go a bit more in the background, which was fine, which needed to happen. But like just the overall experience of how cool Little Hatred was, seeing like where like this is going was just unmatched for me.
Yeah, I felt like and Trouble with Peace, I liked it more than A Little Hatred because I
Mm.
felt like the bridge of where we were going in the trilogy
Mm.
had more surprises. I kind of had me and you talked back and forth, and we had predictions about what would happen to Wisdom of Crowds, and I think we had like most of the major points, and
Yeah.
we were curious how it would fill in. And that's just the nature of the way Joe writes. Like, I don't think he's trying to blow your mind with twists and turns. He very much gives you the breadcrumbs to get there. If
Yeah.
you're paying attention. So I think that's why The Trouble with Peace is so popular in the trilogy, because that was kind of the turning point where you start setting up that final stage.
Mm. I'm gonna say it because I don't usually do this,
Okay.
but if you had to say, like, for you, were there any weaknesses? Could you like point out an obvious weakness, or
For myself,
just reading it, like, you're like, maybe that wasn't the best because it was so strong. It's actually hard to find things to nitpick, in my opinion.
I think it's like Joe doing his best work, like him and what he does. So no,
Yeah,
I didn't really have any issues with any of it, man. And it's weird because whenever you have an author that you really enjoy their work and they're consistently hitting, it can almost become like medium
yeah,
because it's what you
yeah,
expect,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's like, um, I could see what would maybe like irk other people or not work. For some people have said, since the heroes, that chapter where he jumps perspectives a bunch.
Yes.
Some people I've read just online, like in threads and stuff, some people say that's become a bit of a gimmick, but I kind of think it's more like a trademark than a gimmick, if that makes sense.
So it's
Because you
like,
got hyped every time you saw the little people chapters come up.
so this happens in pro wrestling a lot. Okay. And it also
Yeah,
happens to stand-up comedians. Stand-up comedians get a bit that hits, right?
yeah,
Quick example that most people might know, Dane Cook's Kool-Aid Man story, which he stole. That was like part of his bits. So he would do a new set, but he would always have something from Harmful If Swallowed, right?
mhm,
Uh, if you go to a live show in the 90s and you see Stone Cold Steve Austin, you want to see him hit the stunner. Like, he's going to do it. But
yeah,
like, and you might even say, oh, he did the same moves over and over again. But when he hits it, everybody loses their minds. And that's kind of how I felt about the Little People chapters. The
yeah,
second time he went back to it, I said, man, like, I don't know if we need to do this again. And then I read it and I was like, I loved it.
yeah, yeah. I thought, and I thought it worked well in the Age of Madness because it's like society. Um, by Alex, by the way. It's thanks for coming. It's like society just uprising and getting screwed over by the government and all of that. So like the little people chapters are extremely appropriate for this series too. It wasn't just uh like gimmicky, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought the tone was pretty consistent throughout. And that's probably from writing the books all at once, right? I mean, I bet a lot of authors wish they could do that.
Yeah, you have to reach a certain level, I'm assuming, right? Where your publisher's just like, okay, we trust you. Like
Yeah.
First Law is kind of like I don't know if you call it a cult classic, to be honest, because it also feels like everyone's read it, but no one's read it.
Well,
Like,
this is actually a really good distinction in our online community, and it kind of bothers me a little bit. And I'm going to bring up an example, a specific example I see constantly,
hmm,
and people will say John Gwynn is so popular. I'm so
hmm,
tired of seeing him on BookTube. Fair, that's a fair statement. But then I will hear things, or even Joe Abercrombie. Let's just use Joe Abercrombie for example. They say,
yeah.
"Oh, they're just so popular," and it's like among fiction
Hmm.
they are nowhere near popular. You know what I mean? Popular is Stephen King.
Yeah,
Even Brandon Sanderson, I would say, is the most popular active author in the genre right now.
yeah,
And even he, on a grand scale, is nowhere near like a King. So, like when we say like popular or talked about too much,
mm,
or everybody loves this thing, it's like in our little world,
yeah,
sure,
yeah. In our little fantasy corner.
sure,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. I feel like the one you hear the most is Sanderson.
yes,
Um, just because it's like exciting how popular he is, and
yeah,
no matter what you're talking about, he somehow comes up. Like no, you can't escape Sanderson. It's impossible. He will always come up.
yeah.
So I can see why people would get tired and burnt out, but that's just like, yeah, we're in our little fantasy bubble.
Yeah.
We're in our little corner. So it does feel like people are more famous than they are, but the average person has no idea who Joe Abercrombie is, and that's a bit sad. But
Yeah.
we can say we were the first, right?
Yeah, if it ever gets adapted or something like that. Alan says, yeah, but I definitely don't care about what the non-genre fiction people are reading. Oh, well, for sure. But even if you take all of fantasy readers, Booktube and all the stuff that we do, these Discord, everything, I would even argue that the Discord communities are even another layer further down the rabbit hole than Booktube. Because let's say me and Christian do this episode and 4,000 people watch it, right? Less than I mean, what, maybe 200 of those people are then going to go to a Discord and do a conversation about it. So like, and in Discord's interesting because you're in it every single day and you're having these talks about books, and then you start to think that these are the popular opinions because of the same people that you're exposed to day in and day out.
Yeah,
it's simply not the case.
Yeah, it's just about your context and
Yes.
who you're interacting with, and it's like when you like travel and like everything you thought you knew about how your little world works is not the case for everyone. It's just one of those moments.
I used to see it all the time in wrestling, man. Like
Yeah.
you'd be in one region, you know, the Mid-Atlantic, Pittsburgh, Philly area, and there'd be like a certain group of guys. You'd be like, man, they're booked too much. They're overexposed. But then I go to Tennessee and I wrestle and no one's ever heard of them.
Yeah.
So I've always had a different perspective of what the audience is that you're trying to capture and who you're trying to talk to whenever you're presenting your product.
Yeah, man. Like, but even in that little bubble, I feel so out of touch because I've been kind of not reading.
But that's kind of awesome, right?
Yeah, I've just been out of it completely. And it's not like I'm going to offer some fresh perspective because I haven't really read anything. Well, I've read like the first 50 pages of so many classics.
So what happens is Christian and I talk, and we generally talk about life.
Yeah.
And then he's like, how's reading? And then I go off and I just give unfiltered hyperbolic statements. And then I get him fired up and he's like, dude, is this the one I should read? And I'm like, yeah, dude. And then I'll change it on him the next day. And I'll just keep the hype wheel going and revolving and throwing people off the ride.
It's so true though. Whatever you're reading, you've hyped it up. And I'm like, oh my God. And I buy the first book. And then like it was Hobbit first. And I bought Assassin's Apprentice. That's the first one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then I started that. It was kind of like, you know, it was nice and cozy and slow. I'm like, oh yeah, just like 16 books to go and it's gonna like be awesome. And then you started doing the A Song of Ice and Fire streams. I'm like, oh dude, how good was like Game of Thrones, you know? And I'd read those before. So then I started reading in Game of Thrones. I'm like, yeah, this is the best. And then you started reading Malazan. And I was like, dude, Gardens of the Moon sounds sick. And then I started reading Gardens of the Moon. And then Dune came out. I'm like, whoa, Dune's a classic. And I started reading Dune. And then you did a review on the 5th season. I'm like, that sounds good. And then I started the 5th season. But I've done nothing.
Would you say I'm influencing you, Christian?
Yes. You're just like my big brother who I'm like, oh, what's he doing? Like, maybe I should try that.
My Discord was saying, oh man, what our goal tonight is to get Christian to start reading Malazan. And I said, joke's on you. He already started it.
I've already started, mate.
Started and stopped.
And stopped. You may I couldn't tell you what it's about. I couldn't tell you. There was like a guy overlooking something happening. And then and then there was like a woman who was like possessed and then had to get back to her father or something.
You're kind of you knew about as much as I did.
She was like someone took over her body or something. I was like, this sounds really cool. I just don't know what's going on.
Oh, there's so many moments that are just absolutely insane. Oh, what's up, Philip? Good to see you, Dr. Chase. Someone asked me a question when Fit to Be Right says, did you collegiate classic wrestling as well, Jimmy? No, I did not. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now though. But no, I was purely theatrics. So I could pretend kick ass. That's what I usually tell people. But you know, Christian, it's funny you say that because like I think everyone starts out a little bit confused. And I just finished book 9 today. I finished Dust of Dreams.
Oh, you're already there. You're almost there.
And man. I still don't really know what's going on. No, I do. But there are times, even in book 9, bro, where I was like,
yeah,
maybe I'll catch it on the reread.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. And Dr. Philip Chase is always Always telling me, well, you'll figure that out when you read the extended universe books. And I'm like, oh, okay, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, when you read it 8 times, it really sinks in.
It is a
Yeah.
series that definitely I want to reread. In fact, I think as soon as I finish The Crippled God, I'm going to start a reread, but I'm only going to do like a chapter or 2 a week. And it's going to be just something I do on the back burner,
Yeah.
away from the channel, just something for fun, because I do love these books quite a bit.
It's really tough because, like, it's so rewarding. It takes such a time investment. Um,
Yeah.
sorry,
Alan
when
says, Jimmy, did you enjoy the 42 Lana Mass POVs? I actually did. Dust of Dreams is like unanimously the one I see in our niche that people seem to enjoy the least. I love Dust of Dreams. I thought it was the best ending to a Malazan book yet. But I don't know. It's
the good
interesting. Like, people have such varying opinions on the books, and I've just been like kind of consistently nodding my head, like, I really like this.
Yeah, the thing that how you sold Malazan to me, which is the reason like I hadn't read it until now, was you actually kind of gave me a sense of what the vibe is, because most people talk about it just how I spoke about it, and say like I don't know what was really going on, but it was like pretty good. But I didn't actually know like what is the world like, what are like the characters like, besides they're kind of cool. Like, you actually like gave me some sort of an idea of what I was getting into. Like, what did you say? Wasn't there like dinosaurs or something, or some sort of raptor creature or something?
There are dinosaurs with swords for arms.
Yeah, that thing. And I was like,
Goat.
well, that's all you needed to say. Just say dinosaurs with swords for arms, and I will try it. you know.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to describe Malazan, specifically the characters and how I've become attached to them, is if you think about, like, you had friends in high school that you would have swore that you were like this with, right? Like
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah.
you knew everything about them. And
Mm,
now you've went on in life and you've forgotten about them. And
mm,
then you don't think about them at all, and then they pop up on Facebook one day, or you see them
yeah.
at the store. You run into them, and you kind of get that feeling all over again, where you're like, ah, man, I used to know you. Like,
Yeah.
I used to, like, you were so important.
Mm,
Uh, and then sometimes you see people and you go, God, I wish I had never seen you again. And that is
mm,
how Malazan happens. It's like these threads that connect over 10 books, where there is a world and a cohesive, there's a story happening over here, but there's
mm,
also all these other stories that are just happening in the individual tales. And when a POV pops up and it's been like 3 books, and you're like, I know that guy, or
yeah.
I remember this character. It has like this almost nostalgia feeling, but you're not even done with the series yet.
Yeah.
Does that make
Oh, I know
sense?
what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I've had that to like lesser degrees. In I remember when the first time this happened to me, which was like the first Reek chapter in A Storm of Swords. And I was like, wait a minute, I know this person. And it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, he didn't
But
come out
Malazan,
like
I'm
a
sure, is
thing.
like, yeah, I'm sure Malazan is like a whole different level of that. And that's what I mean. It's like a huge undertaking, but like from what you said, it's incredibly rich and rewarding if you
Yeah,
commit to it.
I think without a doubt, it has to probably be the series that has like the least amount of completion percentage from people who start the series to finishing it. Like, I
Hmm.
think just finishing any series is probably a lower percentage than we would imagine. But
Hmm.
I feel like Malazan is probably the least, because they are individual tales and they can vary so much. All right, Nick, see ya. It's enough Malazan talk for me. Like, no one's forced you to watch, bro. It's all right.
Like, it's funny because I remember reading The Way of Kings, and I hadn't read fantasy for years, and I was like, what the hell is going on? This is so confusing. And now we're at, like, because I'm in this world now. It's funny how like certain series like that are viewed as like very entry level, and it's very easy to understand because you have something like Malazan, which like does not hold your hand whatsoever. It's crazy, how much they trust the reader.
Oh, definitely. And on top of that, it's nice to have different options, right? Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy picking up a Stormlight book and knowing what I'm going to get, and then being able to focus on different things, because whenever you're not so worried about figuring out every single thing that's going on, unless if you're you and you're trying to solve the puzzle for us, thankfully on your channel.
Yeah.
But you maybe, and you get a little bit of a closer perspective with the characters and a different way of doing characterization, that you get to focus on that, and you can go to wherever you want depending on what you're feeling that day.
Yeah, you kind of just latch on to what works for you.
Yeah,
But I
and
have a
some people,
question for
that's all
you,
they
Jimmy.
want.
I have a
What's
question
this
for you.
question?
Would you say that Malazan is the Dark Souls of epic fantasy? Is this is this going to be your video title when you finish
I
the series?
I mean, I think Petrick is always laughed because he says that people say that about like everything, right? Like
Yeah, that's why
that's
I'm
a
laughing.
tagline.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
remember, I think it was in our group chat, we brought it up and he was like, "No, that actually is the Dark Souls of fantasy." Like that actually is an
Yeah.
apt description. But yeah, I mean, I would say so. It's one of those things where it's not going to be for everyone, but like the people that it resonates with, it's going to give you an experience like you've never had. And that's how I feel about Dark Souls. Like I hated Dark Souls the first
Yeah.
6 times I tried it. I said, "This is stupid. I just want to
Yeah.
have fun." And then I got used to it and I got into it, and it
You
hit
got
me in the
used to the
right mood.
pain.
I got used to the pain and
You
the
got that
frustration.
Stockholm syndrome.
I stopped throwing the controller, and there is a sense of curiosity of what is this all about, that I
Yeah.
enjoy figuring out. And I think that a lot of my experiences, especially with books, as I read more and I talk to more people, and like doing this, but also talking to people in comments on my videos, I like seeing why people like and dislike things, and then going into it with both of those perspectives, right?
Yeah.
And then coming away with my own conclusion. And a lot of times I can read something and say, this isn't exactly for me, but I see why people like it so much. And a big example of that would be like Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I'm not
Mm.
I didn't really mesh with the story very much, but I totally understand why like people like that book. It makes sense to me. He's a strong writer, cool lineage story and all that stuff. But I feel like that's kind of what's reading has become to me, is like figuring out what makes certain fandoms tick, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And that's a good place to be, where you can just be like, I don't like this myself, but I can see why other people like it, and that's cool. Like, if only that could be the general vibe, because some people get a bit hostile if you don't like something. But
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Those people I tend to keep scrolling when I see that. I just keep scrolling. Also, RJ, thank you for the 5 spot. He said, "I am the shield anvil." I have dubbed RJ my shield anvil, which Malazan fans know what that is. But Philip says, "What is Dark Souls?" So Dark Souls, Philip, is
Pain.
it's pain. It is an extraordinarily difficult video game. It's an action RPG where when you die, you lose all of these souls, and your souls are essentially your currency. And you have an opportunity to go retrieve that currency. But if you fail in retrieving it, you lose all of that. So it is a demoralizing feeling. Also, the combat is excellent, but very difficult. And I love the story and the lore of Dark Souls. It's very, actually, it's very inspired by Berserk, which I've had a lot
Yeah.
of people tell me, which is kind of cool. But it's very challenging and just a great atmosphere, great map. I can get lost in those games for hours.
The worst part about Dark Souls for me is that it's so damn cool looking,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
vibe is amazing, but I just can't play it over because I just get so frustrated. But I want to play. I just can't do it.
You just
Those
got to know that you're going
skeletons,
to be in
bro.
it for the long haul, bro.
The graveyard. And okay, let's not get too into like Dark Souls, but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But
And
like Malazan, it's like there's dinosaurs with raptors, just with swords for arms. Just like get there, just push through.
just
You will be
you'll get there.
rewarded. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of varying experiences. The interesting thing is like, so I'm about to wrap up Malazan, right?
Hmm.
There are not many super popular series left for me on my fantasy TBR. And people might hear that and be like, "Oh no, like I'm not going to read as much," or something like that. But no, I'm actually really excited. Joanna says, "My husband says Dark Souls is one of the best games I ever have no idea about it though."
Yeah.
I would agree. But so think about this, dude. Like I've knocked out a Song of Ice and Fire. I tried Wheel of Time. I'll probably finish it one day at my own pace or whatever. Did the First Law, Stormlight Archive, Mistborn Air 1. I'm trying to
There's
think of
more
other.
Naruto, Jamie. Come on.
I don't know about all that. But Realm of the Elderlings,
Yeah,
complete Dark Tower. So I've done a lot in the
you've knocked
last
him
few.
out, dude.
Yeah, I've been really, I go for it when I go for something. But now we're entering a new era of the
Mm,
Fantasy Network and my reading experience, and that is all the thing I've read everything that I really, really wanted to read. Now there's stuff I want to read that I'm excited
yeah.
to get to, but I'm talking about like the big heavy hitters and the pillars of the genre, right? So now it becomes much more about trying to find things that click with me that I'm not so sure about. Like I was pretty sure I was going to love Dune. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pretty sure I was going to love Dark Tower. Pretty sure I was going to read Realm of the Elder. I vet things pretty, I like enjoying things. So I do vet series. But
Mhm.
now we'll be moving into a territory, man, where like I don't know if I'm going to love these books. I'm taking chances.
Yeah.
So it might get a little more spicy. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's kind of easy in a way. Like if you're doing a review channel, it's pretty easy to find something that you'll like when you first get into anything because everyone recommends you classics and they're really good for whatever reason. But now you're in the point where it's like maybe you won't like stuff. So are you gonna if you really dislike a book, are you still gonna do videos or are you just gonna move
Oh
on?
yeah. So as long as a book is interesting to talk about,
Right.
that's the number one thing. Because I read the First Law trilogy, and I didn't feel like I had anything to add. Everyone's read those books, and I didn't feel
Right.
like I had anything to add to the conversation. Age of
Mm,
Madness, I felt like I had a little bit more to say. But
yeah.
I just loved for the First Law trilogy, and I didn't necessarily care to talk about it with anybody, so I
Yeah.
just didn't make a video for it. Um, but a good example of this would be I really had mixed feelings about A Land Fit for Heroes by Richard K. Morgan,
Mm,
which if Slowly Red's in the chat, I know he loved it. It's a fascinating book. The Steel Remains. I thought it was
right.
really, really good. It didn't click with me on a stylistic level because Richard K. Morgan has very stylized writing. So I would say that was like a mixed review, but I was still able to pull out a lot of positives I think people can walk away with. So I don't
Mm.
shy away from negative reviews as long as I have more to say than nothing will. I mean, I might make people mad here. If someone starts out their negative review, and I did this with one book ever, and just say, this book sucks, it's boring.
Right.
Now, that could be funny, that can draw people
Yeah.
in. I get it. I understand what you're doing.
Mm,
But if then you do not elaborate on what you did not like about the book, you lose me. So if
mhm.
I read a book and it just doesn't really hit with me and I don't have much to say and I don't feel like my criticisms bring up much discussion, then I don't necessarily know if I want to review it. But it's not that I'm shying away from negative reviews. I think Alan does a phenomenal job of explaining why he doesn't like things, and also Petrick. Petrick
Yeah.
does a very sometimes Petrick goes hard in the paint. Sometimes he gets a little salty, but I think he also does a very good job of saying why it didn't work for him personally.
Yeah, and I think, like, when you follow a channel, you kind of get the sense of what their reviews are about because the term review is kind of, fluid, on YouTube. Um,
Reaction, review, yeah.
yeah, yeah, because, like, I feel like at least what I do is, like, once I feel like I kind of know someone's, like, general taste, um, I'll watch whatever they say because I know that they're not me. So I could say like, "Oh, if Jimmy doesn't like this, I might like it because we're
Sure.
different." Um, but I find the reviews that are most helpful is just um, kind of like understanding who would like it, like not just saying that you don't like it, maybe also understanding who would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Um, it's just being self-aware, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah, and also I try to frame everything as me, right?
Yeah,
This book didn't really entertain me.
yeah,
Not this book isn't entertaining
yeah.
me.
Like you're not the the final say.
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
say I like boring books, and like it's funny
Yeah,
because some people like don't get the joke, and they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, he really does like boring books." It's like they're not boring. That's the joke. They're not boring books.
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
it just
I mean, I feel like most people would consider this whole genre boring, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I would agree with that. I definitely have friends who have tried to open up a fantasy book, and they're just like, I don't get it. I'm like, yeah. Then I feel
Just it's
bad.
not for everyone. It's like people who don't game, and I can see their viewpoint. They're like, "What am I getting from this? Like, what is this doing for me? I'm just um investing so much time into someone that's not me, like a character or whatever." And some people just aren't wired that way, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Same with reading fantasy. It's like, why are there so many names I don't understand? It's too much work.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And I get it.
some people say that about even like big POV ensembles, right? They say that feels like work. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I respect that. That's fine.
I like it though. For people like us, like I see a map, I'm like, yeah, let's go,
Yeah,
man.
I'm all about the map, bro.
Yeah, show me like the mountain range. There's always a good mountain range. If your
Mm.
fantasy doesn't have a mountain range, I'm not reading it.
Give me that grass plain. Let me know if
Oh
something's
yeah.
buried out there. I'm
Yeah, the
in. Yeah.
play. Yeah, the fields. There's always a
Oh
good
yeah.
field. Yeah, yeah.
Danny, thank you for the super sticker, my friend. I appreciate you. Mark Slowly Red says, A Land Fit for Heroes is by no means an easy read. Morgan is a wordsmith, but he also has very disorienting style that's confusing. Yeah, he kind of flows in and out of like the now and the past, and it's very strange. But it's like one of those things where I know it's good. I know it's good
Oh,
writing.
that's
I just,
interesting.
yeah. And I actually recommend people do try out that series. It is criminally underread. Joe Abercrombie is a massive fan of that series. And it is doing a lot of things that I think people have that since other authors have read and then been like, oh, I'm going to try to increment on this. But one of the more ridiculous reads I've had. And I did read book 2. I don't know when I'll read book 3. But I can't say it wasn't entertaining. So
Are you at the point, Jimmy, where you're like scheduling your reading, or are you just naturally just having burning through all these series?
oh, so in what regard? Do you mean like a monthly TBR type thing or like a daily?
Like a daily, like these hours are my reading time sort of thing.
Well, that happens pretty naturally for me because of the way I live. I do things every day. I work out every day. I do jujitsu almost every day. Obviously I work and the other things that I do in my life, right?
Yeah.
I am very much a schedule person, not like rigorous where it's like, okay, at 7 to 8, I have to do this, but they kind of fall into a time range. And I go to bed, try to go to bed around the same time every night because sleep hygiene is something that I've had to work really hard on because I have a lot of sleep issues. But yeah, I would say that it's pretty likely I'm going to read, before work, maybe a little bit during if it's a little slow. And then always at night after jujitsu, I read for about 2 hours.
I feel like it's good to read after you exercise. You kind of like your brain's switched on a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I always felt like, actually, I'll tell you what, the best time to read isn't even after that. Sometimes I'm so fried that I can't even concentrate. And I just want to like, especially jujitsu, if like I'm really beat up, I'm just like, I just want to sit back and relax. If the first thing I do in a day is open up a book, I have much better comprehension. I retain more and my day just seems to go a little bit better. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. It's like the first thing you do is kind of sets the tone for the day. And
Yeah.
I found the same with reading as well. Sorry, I'm just laughing at
Connor
these
says,
comments.
I'm his hero. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Jimmy's all our heroes. Come on, guys. It's Connor's the first to admit it.
It's brave.
He's a brave man. Oh, but I'm just gonna be annoying and like I want to talk about Dune again. I want to talk about Dune.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this, like, okay, I hadn't read the book, but I feel like I can still have an opinion, right? Because I can still think it's a good. Can I say it's a good adaptation without reading the book? That's probably too much, but I just feel like it's a good adaptation in the sense that it made me like stop what I was doing and get that book. And I feel like from what everyone had said about Dune, I feel like it really sold like the kind of like spirit. Would you say that of the book?
I left the theater and I looked at my wife and I said, I felt like I just read a book.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't want that when they go to the movie theater, but I
Yes.
felt that way. And my wife has never read the book and was able to retain all of it. She was like, oh no. And like, I kind of asked her questions without leading her like to the answer. And she followed all of it. So I think that while it may have been a harder movie for some to follow, and it's definitely a little bit like ambiguous in some parts, I thought it was excellent, dude.
Yeah, I felt like like as I watched it, I also thought like so many people would hate this at the same time because it's kind of like world building for most of it.
Yeah.
And it's very just like a mood, like the music and the slow shots of the environments and the giant rooms and the spaceships. It's like kind of like cerebral.
It's a
And
vibe.
yeah, you're just kind of vibing to like some sci-fi, and it's just really good. I don't like, and it was kind of unique. And this might people, I know a lot of people hate Avatar in terms of like Avatar: The Blue People, James Cameron movie, um, but that was like a moment. I mean, I was quite young then, but when I watched it in the theaters, I was like, "This is like mind blowing." I feel like I'm actually there, sort of thing, in a new world. And I like this was the first time I felt that again since that movie, of just being like, I am in a whole other alien place, and I don't, and I'm like immersed, fully immersed. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how I felt. I mean, it really did feel like otherworldly. Like I
yeah,
know that it's CGI and all this stuff, but like I felt like they actually went and filmed on a different planet. Like I had to remind
yes,
myself that we are not capable of this yet. And I was
yes.
like, oh. And if you can transport, especially in sci-fi, if you can transport me and make me feel like I'm not having to do the logical leaps, like, well, how would they get this to that? And I'm just in it. It's
Hmm.
awesome. And
Yeah.
and that happens in, you know what, man? That happens a lot in fantasy books.
Mm.
And this is where
Ooh,
sometimes it sucks whenever you have things pointed out to you that it's fine because they can have legitimate criticisms, right? But like if I go to Roshar, I'm in
yeah.
Roshar. I just want
Welcome.
to be in Roshar,
Yeah.
you know. And I've
Don't
had
we
people
all?
point, yeah, I've had people like point out things, and I'm like, oh, you're right, that isn't inconsistent. Oh, that doesn't make sense. And then you start slowly peeling back the green
Mhm.
screens, you know, and then you're like, I don't feel like I'm there. And that is in some ways one of the downsides. I mean, it's good because you're learning what does make consistent good work. And I'm not just using Roshar as an
Yeah,
example,
no,
but
no, no,
like
don't worry.
it could be Westeros. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so it's good in a sense that you're learning what it takes to have quality, consistent world building. But there's also something about just like liking it and not worrying about those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like watching Dune and being like, wait, why would they paint their thing this color? But like, to be honest, maybe it didn't get that response of me because it was so good.
Mhm.
So like if it's blatantly like kind of strange, like, and you get taken out of it, fine. But when someone points it out to you, it can't take away that first moment of being like, I'm really into it.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think I've gotten to the point now wherever I feel like I can kind of like tune it out.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, once you like sometimes once you like something enough or you're a fan of something enough, like certain criticisms aren't gonna affect you. Like I've just accepted that I love Stormlight and that's not gonna change. You
Hell
know,
yeah, man.
so and I can accept all its flaws and stuff, but it's everyone has that series. Like I'm sure there's
Yeah.
issues with Realm of the Elderlings, but it's not gonna bother
None.
you. Yeah.
Never.
There
If you ignore that
Just-
Rainwild Chronicles exist, it's perfect.
yeah.
If you just ignore 4 books, it's fine.
Oh, just
Um,
4 of them? I mean, it's a quarter of it, don't worry about
yeah,
it.
it's not a big deal.
Just
Not a
skip
big deal.
it. Yeah.
Don't even read them. I'm kidding, kidding. You know, but A Song of Ice and Fire, you know, I'm on my bazillionth reread of that, and while I'm finding new things to love about it always, I will say as I'm reading through A Feast for Crows, I'm seeing things that I'm like, I don't think this is good, right? Like I actually have the valid
Oh, yeah.
criticisms, but is that still a subjectively 5-star book to me? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Am I
that's the
still
thing.
loving it? Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like yeah, when I'd read, Song of Ice and Fire, it's the only large fantasy I'd read. Um, wait, sorry, I'm gonna stop for a minute. I picture Stormlight Archive being filmed like 300 in my head.
Dude, the
Now that
Shattered
w
Plains would be sick like that.
damn. I mean, like, I would like moments like 300, but 300's
Parshendi.
yeah. Oh, dude, it would be like I would like sequences similar to 300, but 300 is it's so stylized. I probably wouldn't want Stormlight that stylized, if you know what I
But if
mean.
you could have some of those moments like
Oh
that,
yeah,
that'd be
dude, like in the
sick, man.
slow-mo and stuff. Yeah, like
Yeah.
for sure. Um, but like 300 has maybe it's because it was 2006, or maybe it's just because it was the style it was going for. It's got like an extremely green screeny kind of vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like or like exaggerate. Like also because it's based on real world events and they like go full on fantasy to some degree. But yeah, I feel like Stormlight would need an extremely strong vision in however it's adapted. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What Alan said, basically.
I know
But it
Alan
was
feels a
kind of
certain type
cool,
of
like
way.
in the context
That was
of the
dope.
world they made.
It was certainly awesome. Um, well, talk about Stormlight. One thing I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people don't know is that during your absence from YouTube, you were busy because you had an opportunity to interview Brandon Sanderson.
Yes.
So can
This,
you tell us about that?
yes, I will gladly tell you about this. Insane experience of talking to the man himself,
The
Sanderson.
man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, it kind of pulled me out of this break, to be honest, because I was like, I was a bit burnt out making videos, and I was pretty content and just, focusing on myself and all this other stuff. And then I got an email asking me if I wanted to interview Sanderson, and I was like, well, I absolutely have to do that right now. um, and it was on the Skyward series, which was a Sanderson series I hadn't read whatsoever, and the interview was like in a few weeks from then. So I had to like power through those books because they're like, oh, you're clearly a Sanderson fan. Do you want to talk to him about Skyward? I'm like, yes, I have read those books. Of course I will.
How were they? You read them?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Dude, imagine interviewing an author and not having read the books. You're like,
You could get through it.
yeah. Although it was a challenge not to bring up the Cosmere. I mean, I did bring it up, but like not to make the whole thing about the Cosmere.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Skyward was really good. It's definitely YA, like extremely young adult vibes. But that's like Sanderson slips into that like very naturally. A lot of people would say his other stuff's pretty YA-ish anyway. The thing that I found the first book really strong in the sense of like basically the concept of Skyward is they're on a planet and there's all this space debris around it and they can't see through it,
Hmm.
and these aliens come down and kill humans, and everyone lives underground, and they don't know why the aliens are doing this, and they don't know what's beyond. They don't know anything. They're just like, we're the last humans. So it was like cool to see, and you follow like a teenage girl who's like training to be a pilot and like go up there and figure it all out. And it's cool because like I feel like Sanderson does mystery really well. And then it really opens up in a Sanderson fashion, like past that point. It was kind of like how the Way of Kings was really contained, and then like he blew the roof off. It was
Yeah.
like that. Um, and the world building's like really fun too.
Cool.
So yeah, it was like, but it was reading it was a beyond stressful experience because have you ever read a book that you have to like understand because you're going to talk to the author about it? Like this was so intense for me, and I was like, because I had to read it quick, but I also had to like really understand it. It was very nerve wracking.
Yeah, and you know that there's a lot of like he's gonna slide a lot of information in there and in the world building and make it pretty intricate to
Yeah.
figure out. And I know that you like those kind of puzzles.
Yeah, I like those things, but I also like, yeah, it takes it. I don't just naturally go, oh, I understand. I'm like Tyrangin with the diagram. No, like it takes me like a long time to figure it out. But no, it was really good. It was just kind of terrifying because it's talking to Brandon Sanderson. But the good and the bad thing is, it was like a paid event, so not that many people were there. As if like if I did it on my channel or something, many people would show up. So like that took some of the pressure off.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna like publish it live for everyone, but they haven't. So I'm sorry. So people can't see it. I don't know if that will change. But no, it went really well, and I felt like like I used my Stormlight and greater Sanderson Cosmere knowledge to like enhance the interview. So it was it was very very cool, and I'm very grateful that I got asked to do that. Yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome when you hit me up and told me you had that, and I was like, you have to do it. And you're like, yeah, I
yeah,
do, don't I? And I'm like, yeah, man.
yeah, yeah. Like I don't think people understand. Like I was like pretty much done making videos and stuff, for the time being anyway. So I was even then like with this amazing opportunity to talk to Sanderson himself, even then I was like apprehensive. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm very glad I did, and it's kind of pulled me out of my funk in some ways, my booktube funk. And I was like, man, if like what an awesome opportunity. I should like I got kind of fired up to make videos again. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. Watching that whole thing unfold from first the just sheer nervousness of am I going to have to do? I have to do this? All right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And then watching
yeah,
you, one get that opportunity was amazing, and then two you doing it and doing so well, and you tell me how well it went, and then three seeing like your fire come back. because
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that you are one of the most talented people when it comes to creating original content for Stormlight or anything, any
Thanks,
series
man.
on you. No,
Thank you.
and I mean it. I really do. I've always said I felt like you are on your way to being the Alt Shift X of the Stormlight, and I still think you to this day with that you don't even have to post a video for months, and I still think you have the best Stormlight channel on YouTube. And to see you get fired up again, man, it was awesome. It really was.
Thanks,
It
man.
was a different Christian that
Yeah.
came back after that interview, and it was awesome.
No, it was great, man. Thank you. And but like I'm definitely fired up to make videos again. Um but like when I got burnt out doing videos, it was very much because I was kind of grinding and I was kind of like, let's get more subs. Let's get
Yeah,
more views. Like I got to do it this many days a week and cover these topics. And I think that was the problem. So I'm just like I'm interested in this certain topic of like Stormlight and doing the lore and doing all of that stuff. So I'm just going to do it when I want to. And no upload schedule, no like rules, just do it for fun. And that's I feel like I kind of started to lose track of that a little bit, and that's probably what burnt me out in the first place. So no, it's great to be diving into it again.
yeah, man. I mean, one of the issues is whenever you see success so fast, you don't have time to process what this
Mm,
is.
yeah.
And you saw success very quickly, and rightfully so. Like I said, I mean, your
In
content
the
was excellent.
context of like booktube. Yeah,
Yes, we're
which yeah.
speaking to our niche here, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you go 1,000, you go, damn, I got 1,000 subs. This is crazy. Okay, now I got 5,000, and then for you, I mean, you went like 5, 10, and then you were on your way to 15, and it's like, whoa, 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 like,
Yeah. I got
what
a
is
little
this?
overwhelmed, to be honest. Yeah, because it was very like small and tight. And then I did One Piece, which is like a huge fandom, and everyone's very enthusiastic, and it just really blew up. And I was like, oh, it's scary. Like too many people. Ah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, sometimes you don't realize because like when you have a small channel, you kind of feel like, no one's gonna see it, and
Yeah,
you're just talking with your mates. Um, but it can very quickly like people blow up, like people I'd followed that were at my size, for example, man carrying thing Jake, he was like a little less subs than me. Like I stopped around, I don't know, I was like 12K ish, he was about at 10, and now he's at 70,000 like just a
yeah,
few
man,
months later. It's like you can just explode out of
yeah,
nowhere. And yeah, it's really daunting sometimes.
yeah. I mean, I feel it now. Even at I think I spent I remember the last video I posted was probably last Sunday. I think it was like what I'm
Mhm.
gonna read in 2022, and I think it has a couple hundred comments on it. It took an hour and a half of my next day replying to. I replied to every comment that at least that
Right.
I saw,
Yeah.
and I love that because that's what I'm here for. But then you slowly start to realize at 10,000, at 15,000. You're not
Mm.
going to be able to have a conversation with every single person that took time to watch your video. And that does kind of suck in
Yeah.
some ways.
Yeah, the nature of it changes. It just
Yeah.
changes. Um, but it's those like connections you make in those first, that first year of YouTube, or your first people on your Discord or whatever. Like those will stay forever.
Yeah.
Yes. And man
Absolutely.
carrying thing is the stuff of legends, correct? He's hilarious.
Yeah. See, Commanda says if Sanderson may put the interview on his YouTube channel eventually. I went to an event of his in November, and he just put the. Oh, cool.
Yeah, if you went to that event, I interviewed him like an hour before he or 2 hours before he went on stage. Um, yeah, it was through Waterstones. They're like the main bookshop in England, so it's up to them whether they put it up. I don't think it's up to Sando himself.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'll try and snag another chance if I'm
Yeah.
lucky enough to talk to him again.
I'm sure. Eventually, especially around book release time, he's going to want to talk to people. So it's always a good
Yeah,
opportunity, man.
Mistborn this year.
Yeah.
Mistborn.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, right? Calvin says, Christian, aside from One Piece, are you planning on covering any more manga on your channel?
Hey, dude. Right now I have no idea. Right now I'm just doing working on my Stormlight series, which is like turning out to be like such a big kind of production. Like, not to hype it up too much, but like
I'm pretty hyped for it.
like they're going to be long videos with lots of editing, and I want to make it really good and engaging and like step it up a little bit. And what was burning me out was kind of like the way I was doing One Piece was I was reading it and I was thinking like, oh, because I was kind of doing like a play-by-play of what I thought about everything, and it almost, in some respects, it detracted from the reading experience in some ways, but I still really enjoy it. So I'm not going to say no, but all I know is that right now I'm just doing those Stormlight videos.
Yeah,
Perhaps
which is
is
cool.
the answer.
Yeah, and we want you to be doing things you want to do, man. You know.
Yeah,
And
like I will want to talk about it for sure. It's just a manner of like how I will do it. I'm not exactly sure if I'll keep it going as in like, okay, this arc's finished, I'll put up a video. This arc's finished, do that, like
yeah,
you're doing with Berserk.
yeah, it's so fun.
I'll just say we'll see. We'll see.
That's the way to go. Nicholas says, I hope you both know that you don't need to keep pumping out videos. We appreciate you value your work-life balance too. Yeah, of course. And I think if you can stick to that, and the funny thing is very few times do we see people saying like, it's Thursday, it's time. Where's the video?
Yeah,
Where's the video?
it's in our heads.
It's in our heads.
Basically. Yeah.
I have always felt this approach that if anyone watches, I'm very shocked. I'm very
like,
shocked.
why?
Yeah, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I had someone point out the fact that I mispronounced Circe by Madeline Miller. I called it Circa, and they're like, why would you pronounce it? I'm like, I'm sorry that no one told you, but I am actually a moron.
Wait, you said this post like having seen the show and everything?
Oh no, so Madeline Miller's book, the way it's spelled, it's CIRCE.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Okay.
And I just said Circa. I just I don't know. Circe.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
But people were like, I can't believe you mispronounced that. I'm like, I can. I'm very dumb. I've had a lot of concussions.
Yeah.
This
mispronouncing is like the standard of starting a YouTube channel about fiction. Like, it's like, when will it happen?
I misspell my name on forums.
Yeah.
So it's not too shocking.
JIMI. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Like the mispronunciation thing is real. Especially in there's a thing in One Piece, the main character is Luffy, and it's spelled Luffy, and anybody
Luffy.
would read that as Luffy, like anybody. And everyone's first One Piece video, everyone's like, it's Luffy. But to be fair, like, it's easy to mess up names.
I definitely would have. And Alan has come to my defense saying in Latin, Jimmy, it would have been Kirke. So you're okay. See, nobody's saying it right. Nobody knows.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make my own way and say that it's canon.
Yeah, it's funny because like I've watched interviews with Abercrombie and he says character names different to how they're said in the audiobooks. So it's like, oh, what's real? Because he said, oh god, he said Bethod instead of Bethod. I was like, Bethod.
Bethod,
like,
who's
that? Yeah, yeah. I was like, dude, you're wrong. Yeah.
So you're working on a Stormlight video. Do you want to give an elevator pitch on what it is, or you want to keep it under wraps? Okay.
Sure. First point, I dropped the trailer way too early. Yeah, I was really excited. I'm like, I know what I'm gonna do for Stormlight videos. Let's make a trailer before I've started working on it. Bam. But it's basically like the idea is that I want to like touch on, because when you read a series, you're very confused usually on a lot of points, and then you go online and you go on the wiki and you go on Reddit and you're like, oh my god, there's all this cool stuff. So I'm trying to get into all the cool stuff you missed, but like a layer even removed from like the copper mine and the wikis and the discussions. Like I'm trying to find like this, I'm diving into like the behind the scenes subplots and like conspiracies going on in Stormlight, which there are many. Which has made like the task quite difficult because it takes like a lot of work to kind of piece it all together and figure it out. But the main thing, like besides like actually finding something valuable, that like I'm trying to, firstly, the first objective is to bring something to light that not many people have noticed, because that's interesting, obviously.
Yeah, original content, yeah.
Yeah, and the second main point is just to make it like a very smooth viewing experience with like nice editing and a good flow, and like I'm very concerned with like not wasting anyone's time and making it like I love like the editing side of things a lot. So I'm taking like great care with that. So it's just like that's basically what I'm doing, if that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Yeah.
in a rambly fashion. Yeah.
No, and man, editing takes so much work.
Oh,
I
dude.
did one lore video that was like very medium, and
Yeah.
it took me so long. I was like,
Yeah.
I cannot do this. So
It takes a long time. What has helped me actually? Cool new feature. Thank you, Apple. Um, when you take photos now, you can like highlight text if text is in the photo, which has made like getting quotes from the books in your video so much faster. Because I used to have like
cool.
the book next to me and I'm like typing like the quote, but now I can just take a picture, copy paste. Beautiful. These
Man,
little things
what a
help
world
me.
we live in.
Yeah, yeah, it's
That-
pretty cool. But yeah, it takes a lot of work to like piece it all together
yeah,
because you can
and
get all the information. Sorry, you can get all the information, but then you're like, how do I present this in a fashion that like makes sense?
yeah, it's true that you're researching and then you're presenting for entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that those are two totally different skills.
yeah. You have to like realize you're gonna have to cut out some information to like keep it somewhat succinct and palatable. Because
Yeah.
like it can get really dense real quick if you don't check yourself. You
Yeah.
can go on a million tangents, especially in fantasy. My God, yeah,
Focusing on the right things that bring to light the important information
yeah,
is definitely key.
yeah,
And you focus on not just Stormlight, but like Cosmere wide stuff, right? Like we're talking about the whole shebang that Sanderson's working on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I've titled the series "Secrets of the Stormlight Archive," but like Secrets of the Stormlight Archive are being influenced by other Cosmere stories. I'm gonna frame it in a sense that I'm not gonna spoil that side of things, but I will like make it apparent like there are external forces messing with things a lot. But I won't like be like, oh, this character from this story is in here, and like you've got to also find that balance, which is tough because you can't assume people have read
Everything.
everything. I haven't even read everything, so yeah, there's so many like lines you've got to kind of balance um, to create something that's like super cohesive.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, one of the big selling points of it all is for Sanderson's work in general is how intricate his magic systems are. And if do I have this right? Like the Cosmere has a magic system
yeah.
outside of the works,
I
right?
mean, it they are one and the same, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Can you explain it a little bit to me? Because I feel
Yes.
like I mean I've
Where's my
read
whiteboard?
yes, I've read Mistborn, I've read Stormlight Archive, and I have an idea of how those things work. Though I
Yeah.
forget most of Mistborn at this point. But I'd
How
like to
dare
hear
you?
like the bigger picture of it.
Yes. Okay. I'll do my best. Also, a little rusty, but I'll get the gist. There will be someone who knows it better than me in the chat, and they can feel free to chime in and
And
correct
we're
me.
not spoiling the Cosmere, Alan. Don't worry.
No, don't worry. No, we are not going to spoil it. I'm just going to give you like the physics 101 if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um okay. So there was like one god, let's say, and for some reason it was like split up into 16 pieces or shards as they're called, hence the podcast 17th shard and all that. So there
Ah,
are 16 gods, and these gods have names like honor or cultivation or odium or ruin, preservation. So they've all got like kind of like a theme, and these gods settled different planets, and the magic system is like influenced by these said gods. So, for example, um, preservation and ruin are on the planet of that where Mistborn takes place.
okay.
So ruin is like influences how like there's all the ash and stuff falling from the sky, and preservation like keeps certain things alive that would otherwise not be alive. And same with cultivation on Rosha. That's why there's all this crazy nature and like all this kind of stuff. So you see how they like influenced each world, and basically like the what's the word, like maybe like the fuel for like magic in the Cosmere is called investiture.
I've
And
heard that before. I've heard that word
yes,
before.
investiture. Yeah, it's very like on the nose, especially now in Stormlight. And like investiture takes on different forms. So like in Mistborn, it's like in the metals. In Stormlight, it's in the light. Um, and Warbreaker, it's in breath. So like it's all kind of the same, but different. And there's like forms that you can store within you and external forms that you can take in, and it's kind of just like a currency. Basically, it's like
Hmm.
fuel. You use it as fuel, more or less, and it's like it's in everything and part of everyone. It's kind of like that vibe, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So, like Stormlight is a
yeah,
fuel, right?
yeah. It's like it's a form of investiture, let's say.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So it's just but it's also, it depends on, not everyone can use it. Obviously, it's like certain conditions must be met and all that. But then you're going to get into all really bogged down in the science of it. But that's the general idea. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, that actually is probably the most like concise to the point explanation. Because I've
Yeah,
watched some other stuff and I've listened to 17th Shard and I always come away and I go, I don't know if I understood any of that. I mean, I'll be honest, even in Stormlight book 4, I was like,
yeah.
huh?
it gets it gets kind of, especially in Rhythm of War, it gets very in depth. What about the stick? Yeah.
That's what
Well, the famous stick. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I keep just like stumbling because it's like so hard to know what you can talk about in regards to the Cosmere, because a lot of the way the world works is tied up in the narrative, and they come as revelations.
Yeah.
So it's that's another thing you got to be careful of. But at least with my videos, I assume I make it clear like you must be up to date with at least Stormlight.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's once you kind of get the basics, you can like when you start a new Sanderson series, you kind of say, oh, so this is how the magic, like this is the equivalent to Stormlight in a weird way, because like
Yeah.
breaths in Warbreaker, like you have a certain amount. It's like Stormlight, there's always an amount that they're working with, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah. And he tells you, yeah.
And it adds a whole nother layer. Like, are they going to run out?
Yeah.
Tune in
Yeah.
next time on
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It has that kind of anime vibe where it's like I understand the mechanics and all like the, it's like a video game in some respects. Like I can use this ability 3 more times or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
spoilers are definitely important. Christian does a great job of, I think, explaining things without going into too much detail where it could ruin some things for people. Instead
Yeah.
of Einstein, we have Sanderson in the Cosmere. The
Yeah.
dude's in his own general relativity, just messing around.
Yeah, it's immense how involved he is with it, and it's immense like how well he understands it. It's like, and it can, you can get bogged down in it. Like to be honest, like that's not exactly what I'm there for. I'm more about like the narrative. Like the magic is
Oh yeah,
interesting, obviously,
sure.
but I'm like, what is this character doing? Like that's way more interesting
I'm
to me.
trying to find more reasons to read more works because actually this is a good question. I can segue this. So Jennifer says or asks you, Christian, have you read Emperor of Souls by Brandon Sanderson?
No, I haven't, but like that's a short story of his, I think, set on the world of that where Elantris takes
Elantris.
place.
Yes.
Yeah, and everyone loves it. It says it's
I
maybe one
loved
of
it.
his best. I
It
haven't
could
read
be
it.
my favorite Sanderson. So like I
Yeah,
love Emperor Souls. I love most of Stormlight Archive and then like Mistborn, I'm not a huge fan of. So I'm like in this weird spot where it's like I don't know if I want, and then Warbreaker was good too. I read that. So like I've read
yeah.
an okay amount of stuff in the Cosmere, but I'm like, okay, like do I really want to read Mistborn Era 2 and these other
Mm,
things? And I'm trying to find a reason to tie it all together. So hearing about investiture
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to find more reasons to motivate myself to go out and read more of the Cosmere because I do think it'll have like an underlying current of enhancement for Stormlight going forward. I think
I
I'll still
can
be able
give
to
you more
enjoy it.
reasons that are way better than Investiture, if you would
Okay.
like, because that's
Ca
like,
Are they
I don't want to say
spoilery?
boring. Um, Not necessarily. It's just kind of like, um, Lost in Discovery University. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean. Yeah. The thing, it's like I can tell you where you should invest your time in, but you won't like it, to be honest. Um, Sorry, but it's Mistborn because it seems like that Mistborn and Stormlight, by the end of Stormlight, Mistborn and Stormlight are like gonna have like a convergence, more or less, like almost Avengers Endgame-ish. So I feel like it would be the most rewarding
Hmm.
to read more Mistborn. And you know why Mistborn's important. I can't say it now.
Yeah,
Uh,
don't worry. I've linked some things together.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna, those two worlds are probably gonna have the most interaction. Um, and yeah, there you
So
go.
so I
Derry's got it.
so you're telling me
Derry's
I
read it
should read
before.
so you're telling me I should probably read Mistborn Era 2.
Well, maybe wait, because Mistborn Era 2 takes takes place after Stormlight 5. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. So you can kind of gather some things from actually reading Mistborn Era 2. And then all of Mistborn Era 3 will come out, and then Stormlight 6 will come out. So
Jesus.
like it's gonna, and Mistborn, I think Era 3 will lead up to the events of like the last Stormlight, I believe. Or
Yeah.
maybe they are far future. I'm not actually quite sure.
Hmm.
But it's like the sense I get is that certain characters are going into the grander world at this point in Stormlight. So I think they might almost be like a taste test for where you would like to go.
Hmm.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
That's
It's
a
very
really
hard to talk
interesting
about.
pitch. Yeah,
Yeah.
without spoilers. I get it.
All I'm gonna say is that the heralds are very interesting.
I can't wait for this new video, bro.
Yeah, some heralds, dude, they're up to some cheeky stuff. Very, very cheeky.
Nicholas wants to know if you have any guesses for a Stormlight Archive Book 5 name, Christian.
He said it. He said it the other day, actually, in a Facebook comment.
Wait, he did?
Yeah, because like the reason people can guess is because, do you know why? Do you know this?
No.
So basically, like, you know how there are like the poems in Stormlight that are like perfectly symmetrical to some degree? They're called katex.
So Row and War, Words of Radiance, Rhythm of War,
Yeah,
Way
yeah.
of
So like,
Kings, KOW. Okay.
yeah, so we got the Way of Kings, so TWOK, then Words of Radiance, so WOR, and then Rhythm of War was the opposite of that. Then we had
So
O for Oathbringer in the middle. So this fifth one is the opposite of Way of
KOW. So it'd be
KOTW. Yeah. No.
Kaladin overtly weeping.
Yeah, yes, exactly. No, he said he's the working title is Knights of Woeful Truth. Knights of Woeful Truths is the current.
Nights of Woeful Truths.
Yeah, doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't like that title. I'm not
It's a
gonna
certain
lie.
point of like, but he's so deep into keeping it symmetrical, it's like you gotta commit at this point. It grew on me after like some time because it's not a great book name, I agree. But having it all be like this symmetrical thing is certainly satisfying. It actually, I can't go into it, but it creates a lot of questions for book 5.
Well, yeah, it'd be cool. I think the way that that title gets saved is if it has like a very strong thematic tie to what's going to happen, which I think is very likely.
Yeah, like Knights of Woeful Truth sounds like more like truths from their traumatic pasts, which are potentially interesting, I would see. Palindrome, that's the word. Thank you, Brad. I totally, words are hard. Kind of a woeful title.
Why not just Knights of Woe? That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's because he's got to get the T in.
You got to get the T in, boys.
Got to get the T. It does it. Yeah, here we go. That's it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's important, apparently, in my opinion.
And Trey says, have y'all read Chronicles on Human Throne series? So we have not, but Alan is hosting a read along. Alan from Library Alexandria is hosting a read along in February. I will be joining him. Brian Stavely, I've heard that it is phenomenal. So make sure to subscribe to Alan's channel. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've got it. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to read something new. It's hard. It's hard
Finish
to
your
like,
video, I say.
yeah,
Get your research, stay in that world as much as
yeah,
possible.
yeah. You kind of get immersed because like going back into it was like, dude, what is going on? Like, it took me a minute to be like,
Yeah.
I don't remember any. Like, I have to watch my own videos to like remind myself, like,
Yeah.
what's going on.
I mean, at least you have the you already did the research. So that's a plus. You just get to watch these brilliantly edited videos that you
Yeah,
created. Pretty dope.
yeah,
Baron from Your Brain on Book says thought the books are called Brandon Sanderson. It's super massive at the top of the book. I was having this conversation. Maybe someone in chat will know with my patrons in my Kingsguard hangout, and we were wondering like what was like the first book where they were like, we need to make sure the author's name's bigger than the title of the book. And my guess is Stephen King, but I would like to
yeah.
know
That's what comes to mind.
does anyone know when that started and who was the first to do it? I said maybe Shakespeare. I don't know. It could have been Shakespeare or something more classical, but I thought immediately King because I have an Insomnia book back there where Stephen King's this big and Insomnia is like that big.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I'm looking at my like edition of The Way of Kings, and like Sanderson is like pretty conservative down the bottom,
Yeah.
and
That's
like it's just gotten big. But that's what happens like when an author like becomes a selling point. Just how it happens, I guess.
yeah. I mean, people's name. I mean, George, all of his they're terrible. I mean, all the covers for A Song of Ice and Fire that are new are not great, unfortunately. And it's just his name, massive.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Trey says, where else can I start in the Cosmere if I tried Mistborn and didn't enjoy it? So I'm not a Cosmere expert, but I always tell people to read The Way of Kings because it's awesome.
It's a banger. Yeah, like there's a common thing where people advise you not to start with Stormlight and The Way of Kings because it's a bit of an undertaking. But I'm assuming if you're here, you read a bit of fantasy. I don't think you have any trouble, and I think Stormlight's way stronger than Mistborn, way stronger in every aspect. It's a much more of a slow burn, at least in the first book, but it is miles better. So I would say start at The Way of Kings.
Yeah, and Way of Kings always tell people like the first few hundred pages might seem a little slow, but just trust the process and you'll get there. I promise. I mean, I can't promise you'll love it, but like things happen. It's
there
pretty
is a
cool.
payoff. Yeah,
I really enjoyed
payoff.
it. I didn't think it was slow at all. Like, I mean, it was. I would say that it was pacing itself, but like I kind of just I was there for the ride, man. I loved it.
Yeah, like I mean, when I first read it, I actually first read it around I think 2017, and I struggled a lot. I had a couple of like, I just stopped for months and I restarted a few times. Like it took me a minute, but once you once you get it, like once you're in there and you commit, beautiful. And but that was like my first reading of fantasy for a long time. So I thought you couldn't read The Way of Kings because that supports from other books. No, it doesn't. Don't worry about it.
All of Sanderson's books up to this point that I know of, you can just enjoy without worrying about knowing every single piece of the Cosmere. So don't get too overwhelmed by that, because I'll be honest, there's a very good chance I'm just going to read Stormlight. Like there's a chance I don't read any more Mistborns, but
people definitely in my opinion, overstate the requirement to read other books. A lot of people will say you must read this other book because there's like one scene or like a paragraph where it will be satisfying if you'd read that book.
And some people love that. Some people love that.
Yeah,
they just want you to have that experience. But for me, I mean, I do like that stuff. Like, I'll be honest, like part of the charm of Dark Tower is the connections all throughout the King multiverse. But even by I didn't read all the connecting books for Dark Tower. I just read it and enjoyed it. And I read Stormlight, and I haven't read a lot of his other works, and I had a blast. So
no, he definitely makes a point to make it accessible. I would say though, by Rhythm of War, maybe dabble a little bit, because I feel like Rhythm of War, it kind of jumped to being quite Cosmere aware to some degree. It's not necessary, but it was the most enhanced experience having read like Mistborn. And
it was the biggest Leo pointing at the TV moment.
Yeah.
In Stormlight so far. Archie says, Jimmy, you need to get Baron on chat when that's ASAP. It would, we definitely should, and it would be a lot of puns and dad jokes. Me and Baron go back and forth with those all the time. Noel says, yeah, people say you have to read Warbreaker before Oathbringer. I would say that is definitely not true. I definitely don't think you have to.
No, you don't have to.
I did, and it was cool.
I
You
would,
know,
yeah, not necessary though. I
not necessary.
didn't. But like having read it now and going back, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. But there are so many awesome parts in that book that don't require.
I don't need more motivation to read Stormlight. I need more motivation to go read his other stuff. So
Yeah,
knowing that there's, to me, it's Stormlight connections. You see, like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
the
I
flip.
gotcha.
So
Yeah,
it's like I guess I'll read the next Mistborn because it has like who
yeah,
knows
yeah,
what we
yeah.
might see. So, um, Zapito says, "What about the novellas?" Oh yeah, and Stuart actually asked this question for you. I'm sorry, Stuart, I missed it. But he said he asked you, Christian, how you feel about authors like Brandon Sanderson releasing
Mm.
novellas between major entries. Is it a cash grab or do you feel like it adds something?
I think I don't have a problem with it. Like sometimes I feel like it's a lot though. For example, with in the Skyward series, he released I think three
Mm-hmm.
um novellas before the third book, and they were just purely based on characters, and I just kind of thought they why couldn't they be just POVs in the third book? So
Mm-hmm.
in that regard, I felt like it was a bit much. But in terms of Stormlight, where it's like one between each book, I think it's kind of nice. It's like a side quest, because they tend to not be able to fit very cleanly into the book. Like imagine Edge Dancer shoved into Words of Radiance, it wouldn't work. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Brett says Don Shard is excellent. Has so much going on. And I actually love Don Shard. I like Don
yeah,
Shard more than Rhythm of War,
yeah.
which is a
It's
hot
really
take.
good.
It's a hot take and a half.
That's a
Uh,
burning hot take, dude.
Edge Dancer had stuff in it, but I, I didn't like Edge Dancer, okay, and I don't necessarily think my experience was at all enhanced by reading it, even with the extra information that we might have had from there. So, Stuart, I think it's a mixed bag. I think it's like some of them are going to be dope, some of them aren't, and that's going to be the nature of Stormlight because when Stormlight comes out, we know that we're going to be getting kind of featured POVs, right? We're going to be getting maybe flashbacks with those as we go.
Yeah.
So books are going to vary largely depending on your connection with those characters. Edge Dancer is obviously about Lift. I don't like Lift. So, in fact, how about this? I think that Edge Dancer represents Lift in a more negative light than her appearance in the main series.
Right.
I would like Lift more if I hadn't read a novella about her.
Yeah, I think that's totally valid. Yeah, she's kind of annoying in a Edge Dancer, but I find her like more endearing than most people do.
Yes.
Um, I think that's why it's good Edge Dancer is a separate book because she's like very divisive as a
Yes.
character.
She's definitely, in my opinion, the most divisive character. Uh, Hank, yeah, you can definitely skip the novellas if you wanted to. Yeah,
Yeah, not
definitely.
required.
Yeah.
Not required whatsoever.
Yeah. It's extra
So that's
credit.
what I mean. It's kind of like you just choose your adventure. Like how much do you want to invest in Sanderson's world?
Yeah.
And that's nice, you know. Like I'll always say, like I just read Stormlight by itself. I read Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer. I hadn't read anything else. I didn't know anything else, and I was like amazed by it. So you don't need everything.
Yeah. Terrence said stepped away for a little bit. Not sure if you guys says what do you think about Lift. We literally just finished up, so you could just like click
I
back
quite
right
like
in.
her. Jimmy hates her. That's the
I,
TLDW.
all right, I hate her with the asterisk that I know that there's a chance by the end of all 10 Stormlight books that she could become my favorite character. I know this because there is a certain character in Realm of the Elderlings that I loathed in a
Mm,
book one, and by book three of a certain installment, I said, "Oh, this is like my favorite character arc ever."
yeah,
And so I know that I can be proven wrong, and I'm open minded to that.
yeah. My whole thing was like annoying young people exist, like immature kids exist. And I'm interested to see like what would happen. And
Yeah,
if I have to live those annoying days for a little bit, I'll be okay.
yeah,
But some people are
definitely.
like, God, this is annoying, and that's I get it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, with how much I read, I know that a book's not going to 100%. Not every POV in Malazan is going to be a home run with me. I mean, the only
Yeah.
series I can think of that I literally like every single POV is A Song of Ice and Fire, and that's because it's my favorite series of all time. So, you know,
Wait a minute, Jimmy, slow down. Let's not get carried away. What about First Law? Who you shading in first law, boy?
Um,
Come
no, you're
on.
right. You're right. I actually don't mind anybody in first law either.
Yeah, they're all great to read.
No,
There
you're
is
right.
no one I turn the page and think, "Oh, it's them." I'm always pumped. The weakest was maybe Gun Abroad.
I was to say Gunnar Broad would be the one that
Yeah,
edges on the territory of me being like, and
and, Shy
shy,
South.
shy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though
Yeah.
I don't hate her nearly as much as the rest of the first law
No.
fandom, but
No, like, she was just, like, a little like, just didn't have enough it wasn't as spicy as everyone
not
else.
enough. That's the best
Yeah.
way to describe it.
Yeah,
It just
just wasn't
wasn't
enough. Yeah.
wasn't enough. Uh, Dino Collins asked, "Have you read Way of King's Prime?" I have not. I think it'd be interesting from a writer's perspective to see everything that changed from Prime to published, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I'm not I think it's very cool and kinda bold that he would put that out, to be honest.
Mhm.
I wouldn't if I was an author, I feel like I wouldn't want to show that
Yeah,
because for fear of confusing people. Um, I think it's interesting, but I'm not gonna read it either.
yeah.
Just because it's like we have the story, so I don't want like an alternate version, even though I think it's cool. I just don't. Yeah,
Yeah, I respect that he put it out there. I think it's cool. I think it's a really good tool for writers to see what editing and time spent with a piece of
oh
work can
yeah,
do.
for
So,
sure. Yeah.
oh yeah, I do like all of John Gwen's POVs too. All right, fine. There's a lot of books I like. All right, fine. Derry says, yes, Jimmy, an author able to grow an aggravating character through puberty into a more enjoyable adulthood is well worth reading. You're 100% right, and I know what character you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, Bashadel says, I can see how people would find Lift annoying, but I think she's interesting because my cable's in the way. Because her power manifests differently, I think she'll be pretty important at the end of the series. And Noelle said that as well in the chat. And I would agree. That's why I'm open to liking her because I think I better get used to her.
Yeah, I think without spoiling, I think she will be integral in the later half, like so important.
Boom.
So yeah, yeah,
Alan says, you know who grows annoying teenage characters in awesome adults? Daniel Abraham and Long Press Quartet. I believe it. I'm going to try to get through all of Daniel Abraham's books this year, not including Expanse because there's a ton of them. I will read them eventually, though. But I'm going to be reading his new release coming out and Long Price Quartet. I'm disappointed to hear, and I'm happy at the same time. So, Christian, I've talked to you a little bit about Daniel Abraham, but I was thinking about this as I heard Alan talking about the book, and I'm seeing other people react to it. It's like one of those things where Daniel Abraham released a book that's very much a Daniel Abraham book, and that's good news for me because I love Daniel Abraham. Even his slow book ones that everybody wants to always talk about how boring they are, I love them. I don't care. However, I'm slightly disappointed because I was thinking maybe this is the time where Daniel Abraham like really breaks through the veil with fantasy. I mean, he's already had his success with The Expanse. He's paid. He's good, right?
yeah,
But I was like, man, maybe this is where like he writes his A Song of Ice and Fire, right? Like he
right.
really comes into his own. And so it's weird. I'm happy that he's staying true to Daniel Abraham and
Mhm.
that I'm going to enjoy this. It's almost a guarantee, right? But damn, I wish that I hadn't, I wish I wouldn't be seeing the same criticisms that I see from, people who aren't Daniel Abraham fans necessarily saying, this is pretty good, but man, it's kind of boring. This didn't do much for me. Didn't go anywhere. Cause that's how his book ones are. They're just very monotonous. I would say
Yeah,
they're methodical. That's how I would describe them. I happen to like them because I know I'm in, on his
yeah,
series. I don't mind to read 5 books from Daniel Abraham. Uh, so it's weird, man. It's like I'm a little disappointed, but I'm also happy because I know selfishly I'll enjoy it. But damn, I was
yeah.
hoping this would be it.
It's like that. Yeah, it's that thing of like, give me the thing you do, but like also, like let's evolve to something new. It's like how I feel about whatever Joe Abercrombie is going to write next. We talked about it, like how we want it to kind of be
Bigger,
bombastically fantasy.
yes,
And maybe it won't be, and maybe it'll just be like two guys having a chat about how, like very first lawish. But yeah,
yeah,
that's not necessarily bad either. I
yeah,
think.
and you know what, I feel the same way, yeah, about First Law and now him doing a new series. It's like I want him to go bigger. I want him to
Yeah,
do something even more epic, to get more eyes on it. But at the same time, I really want Joe Abercrombie to write how Joe Abercrombie writes because I like his writing. So
yeah,
it's a double-edged sword. It's a little bit weird. I think I get a little bit frustrated with like the reading. I don't want to say like the readers, but every book one has to be like the same now, and you have to have that crazy twist ending. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of book ones become formulaic because of that, because there's a certain recipe that really works with
Right.
common readers, right? And you hook them, you give them a little bit of a cliffhanger, big reveal, and then you go. Whereas I feel like Daniel Abraham's like, hey guys, this is a book one,
Hmm.
and all my books feel like a big book. So imagine this
Right.
being part one rather than
Yeah.
like individual installments in the series. Like the Dagger and the Coin, I could probably pick a favorite one out of them, but like they're all very similar, kind of like Age of Madness with Joe Abercrombie, how I feel like it's a very even kilter experience.
Right.
It's like one big story rather than individual installments. Malazan would be the antithesis of this, because Malazan really is individual tales, and you can love one book, hate the next one. Which
But
I
isn't
think
the series called Malazan Book of the Fallen? I had thought that meant it was like one big ass book.
it's like one giant book of a ton of tales.
Okay,
That
gotcha.
and it does intermingle and whatnot. But I was just saying, Daniel
Yeah,
Abraham, I think, is a little bit more like Abercrombie, where he's writing like a big story that happens to have
gotcha,
endpoints and cut up.
gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah, see, and Alan has it. He plans everything from page one. The payoff is so great. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've really seen how planners really get that payoff punch really well. Like I feel like our boy George, he really delivered in Storm of Swords, but after that, you can tell he's a gardener writer, as he calls himself.
Yeah.
Not
Which
an
is interesting
outliner.
because Abraham is his assistant and learned so much from him. Maybe Abraham said, oh, well, I don't want this to happen to me, so I will plan out all of my books.
Right.
But, it is what it is. I do agree with you, though. I think, you can look at the original outline. A lot of Storm of Swords was within the original outline for Game of Thrones. So he definitely had an idea of where he wanted. He still grew it, obviously, gardened it up and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you feel a lot more of that in books 4 and 5. But I don't know. I can't fault people for reading a book one and saying this didn't do anything. That is a valid thing. And I'm not trying to, if you didn't like it,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say you don't get it or anything like that. It makes me sad because like I know book 2 and 3 will be awesome because that's what Abraham does. So.
Yeah. That's the thing you hear all the time, though, in fantasy. It's like, just get through the first 300,000 pages, and then it's really good. Or
Yeah,
I'm obviously exaggerating, but like that's the thing.
that's the
And
thing with Dresden.
yeah.
Everyone tells me I got to read the first, I think people say even at 4, you start to see like a huge level up. And I really liked Stormfront, but it did not do enough to make, I'm going to continue. So don't get me wrong, because I'm trying to stay with Alan. I don't know if he's read Fool's Moon yet or not, but like every time I go to reach for Fool's Moon, I go, I'll wait a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas some books I read and I'm like, nah, let me just slide this whole TBR off and I'm going to read the rest of these right now.
Yeah.
And that is obviously a problem when there's so many good books to read that are clicking with you a little bit more interesting, to have faith in the process and to get through 4, 5, 6, 7 books. It's like,
yeah, it's a commitment, man. And and you're doing more things in your life than just reading. It's like it's hard to sit down and read a fantasy series. It's actually kind of hard.
Well,
like,
the goalpost
up to the
always
point
gets
you're
moved.
into it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I would say the goalpost gets moved a lot,
Yeah.
Especially with Wheel of Time. Like that's what kept happening with Wheel of Time. I said, oh, I really like book 1. Oh man, wait till you get to book 2. I read book 2. I was like, God, book 2 is pretty damn good. Nothing compared to book 3.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
That's the nature of it, hey.
Read book 3. I was like, I don't know if I'm into this. Book 4, brother, is where it gets it. And I go, okay. And I read book 4 and I went, it's all right. Dude, no. Matt, he actually becomes tolerable in book 5. And I'm like, oh, sick. And then I read book 5 and was like, I still like him. People are like, oh, wait, now you got to do Lord of Chaos and then get through the Slaw. That's terrible. But then, and I'm picking on Wheel of Time a little bit here. But my point is like, it is very hard for someone who is feeling lukewarm to push through, which is why I don't fault people for not continue with Daniel Abraham after a very slow book 1. It's just I happened to push through it and I loved it and now I trust him. So
yeah, I totally get that side though, because I'm totally like this, or have been in the past with Stormlight. Someone will finish The Way of Kings, which when I finished that, I was like, this is the greatest ending of all time. I was so fired up. But like in my opinion, the second book is far more gratifying, let's say. Don't know if it's better, but it's more exciting and gratifying. So you immediately want to say, just wait till book 2. But it's like, dude, they just read 1,000 pages. Like, let them breathe.
Moment.
Yeah,
let them breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I try to stay away from that too, because you can really hamper someone's experience, or sell something to where maybe that was their highest point.
Yeah.
Uh, Zapito says I like slow starts in books, like in the Dragon Bone chair. I love the Dragon Bone chair. I know like everyone DNFs it. I loved it. I I like boring books. That's what I
There's
say.
something good about a slow start because it's like you just tiptoeing, you know, you're like, what is this place? What's going on? And you can kind of get a feel for it. I feel like I like, but then you have Malazan. Would you call that a slow start? Because I feel like it was.
I don't know what you
I,
call it.
I don't know what that was. Like, I still don't know what I read.
It's slow and quick all at once, man. Like
Yeah.
slow in the fact that you're going to get your information trickled in over the first 3 books.
Mm,
And then in same, first couple pages, you're seeing a siege. So it's
yeah.
interesting. It's hard to put your finger on that one, but you know what it is about slow books? I think I can put my finger on is it's the one time in life where you have permission to slow down.
Mm, yeah.
I feel like I'm constantly having to go 100 miles an hour. Okay, work's over. Okay, got to eat, get in the car, go to this, da da da. And then I step into our Dragonbone chair. I step into Ostenard and I go,
Yeah. It's
take a
nice.
breath, bro. Just take
Yeah.
a breath. And that is something that Realm of the Elderlings captured with me. It's something I
Yeah.
love revisiting A Song of Ice and Fire. And just taking a second to appreciate the veil and the
Yeah.
description that went into that. I don't know. There's something about it. It almost feels cozy.
Yeah.
But I'm an escapist reader. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot
Me
of
too.
sense. Some people want to get through it and they want to experience what the story is and move on. And I respect that too. So
Yeah, I definitely felt that starting Assassin's Apprentice, man. I was like, this is cozy as hell. This is
ah,
really nice.
yeah, you could go buy Warm Fire. Dude, my wife is loving it. So
Oh,
she's reading
really?
it. Yeah, and for all you Robin Hobb fans that miss me making Robin Hobb content, I'm probably going to do like a recap after each book with my wife in a live stream. So
Dude, that would be great.
yeah,
That's
people
a
will be able
great
to
thing to
come
do.
and ask her questions, and me and her will talk about the book on stream, just have a casual conversation here on the couch, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
I get to relive it, dude.
You're gonna love that.
Yeah,
You're
man.
gonna This is like your dream come true right now.
Yeah, my best friend Andrew, the guy I've been doing Berserk with,
Yeah.
he just finished Assassin's Apprentice, and he's like, dude, like he's like, sometimes people talk about a book being so good. He's like, I get it. He's like, this book
Yeah.
is awesome, and that made my day. I was like, thank God. There's
It's
nothing worse when you like love something and someone reads it
Oh
and
my
goes, "What's the
god.
big deal?" And you're like, God
Oh my
damn.
god, that would hurt.
Happens to me all the time. I mean, YouTube and that's fine. I'm not saying that they're wrong or anything, but it's just like, darn it, I
Yeah,
missed.
you just want to share this beautiful moment you've had. You're like, experience this. It was so good for me.
Yeah,
And
it's a
just
whole new way of connecting, dude.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like our relationship we got tighter through First Law because a lot of the things that people find to be morbid and bleak, me and you were like, man, I kind of feel that way. like,
Yeah, we're like, damn, dude.
like, this is
Kind of
speaking to me.
vibing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, people are like, man, these books are depressing. I'm like, man, I love these books. These
I
are,
mean, they're depressing, but it's like I kind of get it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
yeah, I feel it.
I'm a sad boy.
Yeah, it's like they're slow, but there's you gotta like you hang on to little moments in these slow books.
Yeah,
They can do something very small, and you're like, wow. Like I said, like for example, like the ending of The Way of Kings, this big moment becomes like a sentence, like scenario by like the fourth book. It almost feels inconsequential, but you remembered like how big it
that
was
moment.
just to take like that one experience.
Yeah, Way of Kings
So
definitely had that too. Like Way of Kings had a charm, and it's risen up from like the bottom to like my second favorite of the series.
same dude. Like the more I think back on it, the more I appreciate it.
I miss the
Because it was
simpler
just so
times.
grounded. It was so grounded, and like Stormlight's kind of crazy now, like with what people can do. So it's
Yeah.
like the Way of Kings feels like a cozy beginning now. You know,
Yeah, man. I think, Game of Thrones is such a more tight book than people realize
dude. It's
before it opens up, right? And he does a great job opening up the story afterwards. But like when you go back and read like a Game of Thrones, you're like, this is like relatively straightforward.
Yeah, I found that
Like it's
when I started reading it again. It's just like it's very clean. It's just like it's very like it's just like the Starks and then Danny kind of is the vibe
yeah.
at the beginning, and you're like maybe you'd be a little confused with Danny, but like reading it now, I'm like they make it very clear how she connects.
Hmm.
Um, so I found it very straightforward as well. But we have like 10 years of like the show and like just understanding it very well. So it's sometimes hard to know like is this clean to understand or is it just because I these characters are like a part of me now?
Well, I think for me, what it was is I always think about the whole world of Westeros and I think about all the theories and all this stuff. But when you just take Game of Thrones, you sit down with it, you turn out all the noise. I mean,
Mm,
it's a story about Ned Stark.
yeah,
And you're like, this is the Ned Stark book. And it's
yeah,
just like,
yeah,
I remember everything else, and I'm like thinking, I mean, of course I think of Ned Stark, but like think of all the extra things that are going on and Beyond the Wall
yeah,
and all this stuff. But you're like, man, this is really like a murder mystery in a lot of ways of him trying to solve like John Aaron. And
yeah,
like that's
yeah,
the catalyst for a lot of the events. And you're just like, wow, George
yeah,
took a murder mystery, which is funny because The Expanse, Daniel Abraham, Ty Franck, Gurm's assistants, also take a noir murder mystery in book one of The Expanse and then turn into a space opera. So that is a really interesting parallel between The Expanse and A Song of Ice and Fire that I picked up
yeah,
on this
yeah. That
reread.
is cool.
Really
Sanderson
cool.
talks about that a lot, where he's like, you kind of like there are like stories that people tell, and there's kind of like beats to them,
Mhm.
and like fantasy books have like typical non-fantasy stories like in them. And he was like saying the Way of Kings has like the underdog sports team story with like
Yeah,
Bruce
dude.
Moore. I'm like, yeah, that's totally what it is. And he calls Mistborn a heist. But like, um, yeah, when you like when people talk about Stormlight now, you wouldn't really realize that the first book's just like Kaladin kind of dealing with depression and like Shallan uh tr- like researching and trying to like I can't really say, but it's like very straightforward,
Yeah.
really, like what it's actually about. So that's what's nice about those slow first books. It's quite palatable.
Yeah, and you can see the author having confidence in the story they want to tell, and they don't feel like they have to race to the next beat. That's like the number one thing I would say about Tad Williams and the Dragonbone chair, and then this all the extra stuff that comes after. You could tell Ted's so confident in the story he's telling, dude.
Yeah,
Like
I
this guy,
love that feeling.
yeah, this dude's like, I got this. Like
Yeah,
when this pencil's in my hand, nobody in the world is gonna touch me.
yeah,
Like, wait till I'm finished.
yeah.
I
I
love it.
got this. Don't
I
worry.
love it,
I'll
dude.
deliver the goods.
Bashendell says, any idea when that will be, Jimmy? Talking about my stream with my wife. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
Probably within the next month. But I don't have she reads at different paces depending on how busy she is, and she's a lot more busy than I am. So, her work's kind of crazy. So I can't really give you a guesstimation, but I guess maybe a month. I don't know. It seems like people really like that idea. Yeah, and my wife will be reading live ships as well. She's going to do all 16.
oh,
So
that's amazing, man. Yeah, I think those streams are great. People love to see like a new fan ushered in, join us.
yeah, I get to live it all again, man. It's
Yeah. Oh, that'd be.
incredible.
So are you rereading them, or you're just gonna like work
Nope,
from?
just gonna ride. Just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
ride with it. Storybound says, been meaning to watch your latest Berserk video, Jim. How far in are you? I think your title was mid Golden Age arc. Yeah, so I just finished up Deluxe Volume 3, and Berserk is quickly becoming one of my favorite stories of all time.
Damn, huge call.
It is amazing, but oh my god, is it grim. I would be very hesitant to just say everyone read this, but the people who
Right.
do and they get it, I enjoy talking to them and talking through some of the most horrible things I've ever seen in a
Mm,
story. And I don't necessarily think that it comes across as like shock and awe as much as it comes across as exploring those themes in those situations. And I really love Berserk. One of my favorite things I've done in the last year. Like people ask me like, oh, like what's your favorite part of the channel? Uh, Extending myself into other mediums of storytelling has been very rewarding. It makes me appreciate my books more in some ways. And it also shows me that there's just a ton of different ways to go about telling an amazing, cohesive story, especially in the visual medium of manga. It's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. Like when I first started reading manga, it was like I was kind of just reading the text because I'm like used to reading a novel. And I was burning through it, but then I started like taking my time to like there's so many story beats in the drawings as well. that you
Yeah.
can very easily miss if you're not just kind of like just it's like you need to savor it a little bit.
Hmm.
Because it's very easy to like kind of burn through and just like take in the plot points
That's what I was doing at
without.
first, man.
Yeah,
And then I started getting comments and people were very kind, but they're like, "Hey, you're missing some stuff." And I said, "All right,
yeah,
let me go back." And I look, I go, "Oh my God, it was right there."
yeah, yeah,
That's subtle
yeah,
storytelling.
yeah. They're like the pictures are there for a reason. You know, you can't because otherwise they would just write a novel. You know, so
It's true.
yeah. How far, like, how much of Berserk do you have left? Are you
Oh
deep into it
man.
now?
I mean, I'm only in Deluxe Volume 3, so that's 9 issues in. So no, we got a long way to go. I still got
Oh,
like 30 more issues.
oh, seriously? Okay.
Yeah, you want to join?
I mean, I'm up
Andrew's a
for
big
it.
fan. He loves Lost in Discovery. He'd love to have you on.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Berserk's like been recommended to me a million times.
Oh, it's incredible.
And yeah, I've only heard amazing things, and it looks like right up my alley, to be honest.
I think you'd like it.
Those deluxe editions look sick as well on the
Yeah, I
shelf.
got them all upstairs in the living room, and like just make sure no one opens them when they come over. You know, you don't know what you'll see if you crack
They're
one of those
massive,
open.
hey. Are they like
Oh,
they're like coffee table books
oh
almost,
yeah, yeah.
right?
They're like yay big. Yeah, they're huge.
Oh, that'd be great to read.
Yeah, they look great as a set too, man. Oh man, they're so clean. Manga's
That's
got
what
it
we've
going
we've
on.
talked about this a lot, me and Jimmy, like how manga, like they know how to package and like sell you like the box sets and the deluxe editions. Like they know, man.
Christian
It's
knows I've been waiting for them to release the Attack on Titan bundle box because I've
oh
seen
yeah.
people open like One Piece boxes, and dude, it's like a kid on Christmas. You're like
Yeah.
pulling stuff out of this box that has like all this cool art on it. And I'm like, I can't wait. And we're gonna do Attack on Titan
Uh,
on Dudes Talking Manga, and Christian's gonna come on and discuss it with us, and it's
oh
gonna be
my
a
god.
blast.
I'm like getting emotional just imagining this moment. Guys, please tell me people in the chat understand. It's like incredible. And for whoever's a fan, guys, this Sunday, it's like the episode. Okay, it's gonna be crazy. Stay off Twitter, Jimmy.
I will.
It's yeah. Oh god, it's yeah. I can't wait for you to read it, man. Oh,
I'm really hyped for it, and I'm just glad to have. You know, I just when I did my first video covering Berserk, I just said I just like storytelling. That's what I've
yeah,
realized, you know,
yeah,
and I do prefer to read more than TV shows and movies and stuff. So like manga is a really good break from reading, but while still being reading.
yeah. That's
Um,
such a good way to describe it.
yeah, I'm still like some days I want to read, but I don't have the wherewithal to crack open a full novel. And it's like, okay, well, time to bring out the manga. And it's not to say that it's like easier or something like that. It's just different. It's just
Yeah,
totally different.
it's just but it is easier.
It is.
Like I would say, it's just like I look at this page, I feel kind of relaxed in a way.
Yeah, I can chill. I
Yeah,
can
because when you see
I can have a
like
drink, you know, I can
yeah, when you see like a fantasy novel, sometimes you open a page and you just like, oh
I don't know
god.
what that word is.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't want to think.
Uh,
Not saying you don't need to think when you're reading manga. It's just more like it just comes to you easier, I would say.
I know what you're saying. I know
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's a vibe, you know. Super Games Bro, what's up, man? He said, what other manga do you plan on covering? So I've already started Vinland Saga. We are going to continue Vinland Saga on Dudes Talking Manga, which for anyone who doesn't know, that's on the channel. It's just a show name that I've come up with. Obviously we're doing Berserk and then Attack on Titan. And I would really like to try some of the other stuff. I know Vagabond, is that what it is? People have recommended that to me, as well as
Mhm.
Helsing. And I would also, Super Games Bros, with you, maybe like to try some Dragon Ball.
Oh,
Um,
damn. The
yeah,
classic.
dude, I loved Dragon Ball Z. So I would really like to read Dragon Ball. I don't know when we're gonna finish Berserk. That's like the number one thing is finish Berserk, finish up Vinland, and then probably bring in like Attack on Titan and replace it with two. So probably Dragon Ball and Attack on Titan. So
Yeah. Oh my god, that's exciting. Yeah, there's so much manga I need to read as well. Like, I've just scratched the surface as well. Like at this point, we've probably read a similar amount of manga, to be honest. Um, but I mean, I watch a lot more anime. But anime is great, but sometimes it's like slow to get like through like a manga chapter is way more like efficient. Let's say.
I actually think I prefer manga over anime. Yeah.
Yeah,
Except for Dragon Ball Z because I have nostalgia. So that's a different thing.
yeah,
But we'll see. I'm gonna read it. So who knows, dude?
yeah. Oh man, that's I'm so pumped you're like doing dudes talking manga as well. It's
Yeah,
like
it's so fun. And like we can have other people on and everything else. Um And, also girls can be dudes. I had a one of my favorite commenters, Mrs. Duncan the Tall. She was like, "Hey, like girls can read manga too." I'm like, "No, dudes encompasses
Dudes
everything.
is everyone.
We're just a
Everyone, we're
bunch of
all just
dudes, dude."
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
hey, dude, we just read manga, dude. Yeah,
All right,
everyone is welcome.
everyone, queue up some non-spoiler Stormlight questions for Christian. I have to pee very bad. I will be back in like 30 seconds. Christian,
Go for it. I'll get the chat up on my phone because I
take the
can't
chat
see.
and take some good questions.
All right, go for it. I hope there's Attack on Titan people here because Jimmy just has to read it at this point. All right, I'm checking the chat. But yeah, if anyone's watching Attack on Titan or reading Attack on Titan, this they've also gone way too early with the final season tag because it's not even going to be the final season. There's not enough episodes to cover to the rest. It looks like it's going to end in a movie. But once Jimmy reads this, it's just going to be his whole channel. Like, don't tell him, but he's just going to be covering Attack on Titan for the rest of his days because it's just going to blow his mind. It's that good. But I haven't even read this much Dragon Ball, so I don't even know how many volumes there are. Okay, Adam has asked, should I read or watch Attack on Titan first? In my opinion, I would say the anime is a much more rich experience because the soundtrack and the visuals enhance it to a whole other level. And I find the voice acting very strong as well. I would recommend the Japanese voice actors. I'm not the biggest fan of English dubs in anime, even though a lot of people do watch it that way. I tend to not enjoy it because, especially in Attack on Titan, it gets just a bit screamy in the in the English dub. Okay, yeah, and some people are talking about how the ending didn't land necessarily that well, and I would I would mostly agree with you. I thought the ending was pretty weak compared to the rest of the series, but mostly due to execution, not necessarily like the messaging. Welcome back.
Did you have
Welcome
any
back,
good
Jimmy.
questions?
I've awkwardly been covering this because my stream was delayed. I was just saying how much I love Attack on Titan, and people asking like how I feel about the ending because the ending,
Very polarizing.
polarized. It just there's no way to say it. It didn't hit as hard as the rest of the series has. Felt a little rushed. Felt some things were a little strange, but overall, I think it was good. I just think it could be improved in adaptation. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like people were kind of saying, "Oh, it's the Game of Thrones it." I disagree heavily with that.
And Game of Thrones, what's that mean? I mean, some
Like,
people
okay,
like
season
it.
8 did it. Yeah. I mean, I can't. It's very hard to talk about that. Spoiling. I would just say it was a little rushed,
Yeah.
and the execution wasn't fantastic. But it's like literally the final chapter that this applies to, not like the whole ending arc. It's like literally just the last chapter is a bit, it's not amazing. Yeah.
I've watched the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan. I thought it was excellent. I was kind of waiting for the manga to get finished and released in a box set so I could read it first and then watch it. Because I started reading manga, so I wanted to get into it. But I'm trying to catch up on the chat here. Let's see. Attack on Titan is it's a story very unique. So Attack on Titan is a 10 out of 10 series. It is a story that is very unique and different from so many other TV shows. That's how I felt the first 3 seasons that I watched. I was like, this is definitely different.
I'm gonna be that guy that says like, just wait. Because like it definitely it goes in such a direction that you would never expect, in my opinion. But it still fits the whole theme of the show so well. That's why I really love it. Yeah.
Yo, Alicia says if you like N.K. Jemisin, which I do, you should read her manga comics of Farsect. I didn't know she did this.
Oh, is this the 5th season author?
Yeah, she's she's the author that wrote the 5th season. What is it? Dream Blood. The city we became. I might be getting those ones wrong, but I loved the 5th season. I mean, it's one of my favorite books ever. So I didn't know that she did comics and such. So that's pretty neat.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty
Does she
dope.
do the draw? Does she do the visuals,
I can't.
or is she
Well,
like
maybe.
outsourcing that?
I'd like to
Well,
know. If you
yeah,
know,
that would
Lisa,
be
let us know.
interesting.
Um, have you ever had any interest in reading like graphic novels that of series that you like? For instance, like A Song of Ice and Fire has graphic novels. Have you ever had any interest in trying them out?
Weirdly, no.
Me
To be
either.
honest,
Isn't that weird?
it is weird because I'm just like, because I think it's different with manga because it's like this is the original, like this is the novel that will be adapted. Let's say, like the graphic novels of pre-existing things kind of feel additional, like additional um optional content.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Like when I saw like the blade itself was in a graphic novel, I'm not really interested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I looked at the illustrations and they didn't really line up with my head canon as much, and I was like,
Hmm.
I was like, I don't need to do these. However, I've heard that the Dune graphic novel is awesome. Quinn,
Really?
yeah, Quinn's Ideas loves it.
Really?
He thought it was really good.
I don't know. Like, I don't really have an opinion because I've just never like gotten one, but I've just never been drawn to it. So, yeah.
That is one. Dark Tower has graphic novels, and actually, even I believe has a prequel. I think, and I actually really want to check those out. I'm gonna wait till they're finished though, because I don't know if they're gonna get finished. So that's another thing is like graphic novels get abandoned quite a bit. Like for instance, like
Yeah.
First Law, it's only the trilogy. I think like you don't have any of
No,
the.
it's like it's only like a portion of the blade itself, I believe. Like, I don't
Yeah,
even think it's the whole first book.
yeah, and they get expensive too. I'll tell you one that I'm really interested in, and if I could find it in a store tomorrow, I would buy it and I would try it. Is Sandman by Neil Gaiman. I am
Oh yeah.
very interested in it,
Oh, nice.
but you can't find volume one in a store anywhere. And I know, folks, I can order from Amazon, but there's something about going to a store that I still like to do. And I order
Yeah.
plenty of things from Amazon, but I don't know. There's something about going to the store, picking out, and I kind of want to like read it and see if I like it. And I know I could probably do the digital sample. I don't know. I'm just making
I mean,
excuses.
the last time I had to go into a store to find a book was Gardens of the Moon because it was like, where is this book? It's so hard to track down, at least in Australia. I was
I'm
like,
shocked that you found one in the store, to be honest.
yeah, it was just one. It was like just sitting there by itself. And then I saw they had a lot of what's the second one? They had that everywhere,
Dead House
but not
Gates?
yeah, they had Dead House Gates everywhere, but no Gardens of the Moon. Yeah,
How weird.
yeah,
Um, Noelle, let me know how you like Sandman. I'm very curious. Like some people say it's like one of the best stories of all time. So, and
really.
I've only read one book by Neil Gaiman and I absolutely loved it. So I'm very curious to see how Sandman goes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe graphic novels are where it's at. I feel like I would actually quite enjoy them, but it's just kind of like I would prefer maybe if the novel exists, I would just prefer an illustrated edition.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you. Man, illustrated editions when they're good. They
Oof.
it,
Yeah,
it
dude.
my
I was
wife
looking
said
at
that
your ones.
my wife said that the Farseer illustrations like in Assassin's Creed, she's like it's making the book so much better.
Oh god. Yeah, and your Song of Ice and Fire ones are like ridiculous, dude. Like
Jonathan M. Burton is
ridiculous.
a madman.
Yeah.
Some of those illustrations. I should do a video. I know I did an unboxing. I should show off some of Jonathan M. Burton's art. He's
I love those
tremendous.
videos of yours just like going through the editions.
Yeah.
They're very they're very satisfying, but also like the jealousy is peaking when I'm watching. I'm like, I want
It
that.
hurts me every time to think about the fact that I bought them. I'm like, that was not wise. Not
Oh,
wise.
dude, no, you'll be an old man on your rocking chair with your Folio Society editions.
Oh, we both know I'm not making it that long.
Oh, Stormlight Archive adaptation at this
Yeah,
stage.
Zepito asked me and Christian, Stormlight Archive adaptation at this stage or now?
He said like he's in talks and they're planning, but that's all it is. So,
Let's give it 10 years.
yeah, I Mistborn will be first, 100%. They're working on like making it into a movie franchise, and I think if Mistborn succeeds, we will then get Stormlight.
I think you would even get Stormlight either way. I mean, if you look at
Yeah,
Like King's had so many crap adaptations and then had some awesome ones, obviously. But I even think that Mistborn, he would still get a pass if it was like mediocre. I think he'd be okay. Now, the thing I'm curious about is he's writing his own screenplays.
Erickson is, or
No,
Sanderson. Sorry, I
Sanderson.
zoned out for a
Yeah,
sec.
no, Sanderson.
Yeah, and the thing is, right? I think I don't remember where I read this, but I think he wrote a script for Mistborn that really followed the book, and then he wrote one where he changed it all completely, and he preferred that one.
Interesting.
Um, which is fine because it's a different medium, but it also makes me nervous. I'm just like,
Yeah,
please
because it's
don't
different.
change everything. Like, he's like extremely keen for change, like almost too excited, or maybe that's just because I'm nervous.
Well, I think you
But
can have a positive reinforcement the fact that he watched the episode 8 of Wheel of Time, which I haven't
mm,
seen, but I've not heard the best of things about.
yeah,
And while he was positive, he tried to see it in a good light. You could tell that he was not super
yeah,
keen on some of the changes, right? So I think that he would make changes that he feel are justified, hopefully.
yeah. I think he definitely would have a better. I don't think would get a Wheel of Time adaptation, which changed quite a lot. I feel like he would keep the important stuff there, but it's also like what's the important stuff to him or to us, it's interesting because you just like I've never had such a passion for something that hadn't been adapted yet.
Yeah.
So, and I'm trying not to be that guy who's like, if it's not exactly what I think it should be, I'm gonna rage quit. But I just want everyone to be very careful. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Storybound says you can change a ton within a Mistborn, but keep the main beats and stuff, something that consistent with the books. So I know didn't he talk about switching some like adding more female characters because like Vin is
Yeah,
like a
there's a massive lack
unicorn.
of females in Mistborn,
Yeah,
so
it's
that would
almost
be great.
odd. Like I thought it was gonna get tied into the world building or something.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
It's just kinda like Vin.
Yeah,
It's
it's very evident. Like it
yeah.
sticks out.
Yeah, yeah, that's, like, there are weaknesses in Mistborn for sure,
Yeah.
which could be definitely improved upon. I just want the story just to be right, and I just feel like I would need Allomancy. I feel like the thing I'm least worried about is Allomancy looking cool. I think it's just inherently
That
awesome.
is the toughest thing, and that is the reason why I would like to wait maybe a decade for Stormlight. Let's get CGI a little bit more
Oh,
affordable.
yeah, Stormlight needs heaps of time.
Because even I only watched the first 3.5 episodes of Wheel Time, and there were times where I said, "Oh, that looked pretty good," and then there were times where I was like, "That didn't look very
Yeah.
good." So
Yeah, I didn't really jive or, like, mesh with the Wheel of Time's kind of visual language, if you wanna call it that.
mhm,
Um, I thought the visuals of, like, the Trollocs and stuff were awesome, but I'm not crazy about how the magic is looking, and it
yeah.
did kinda remind me of Stormlight with the white kind of mist and stuff, but I want it to look better than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I watched it with, my wife, and she was not like, she reads fantasy, but she's not, like, super duper in, especially, like, high fantasy, and she was just
Yeah.
like, "Oh." Like, it was just one of the, "Oh." I'm like,
It just
"Ah."
kinda felt like, I don't it's just the thing that really sells, Mistborn and Cosmere novels is, like, you have a really great understanding of what they're doing with the magic,
Hmm,
um, and when I was watching Wheel of Time, it just kind of felt like they were just, like, doing magic, um, like, they were
right.
I don't know, they were channeling I don't know, it just, like, it didn't hit me the way I think they wanted it to,
Well,
but maybe that's just me.
I think the weird thing for me is I think it's evident in some scenes that it went very well. I think that that you could say
Yeah.
there's some and here's another thing, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I never say bad. I try not to say bad CGI because I don't know what that means. I am not a film
No.
critic. I've never worked in special effects. However, I will say that there were times where I felt weird watching it. But
No.
there was also times where I looked at it, I said, that was dope. Like I was like,
Yeah.
man, that's sick. So that tells me that it's possible to do high magic in CGI. It's just so what is it? Is it a budget concern? Is it execution? I don't know. I don't know that as answers
Yeah.
because I'm not an expert. So
I just felt, I felt like yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm not gonna say it's bad CGI, like, it was good. Like, everything, like, looks good. Do you know
mhm,
what I mean? But, like,
mhm.
it was just kinda like when Moraine was popping off, like, right then and there, it just felt like I was seeing too much too quick
Hmm.
because, like, you don't really see anything in Eye of the World. Um, like, you don't see the magic? Like, is it ever actually described as you see it?
I believe the weaves are described. I could be wrong. Someone can correct me. I am not a
It's been a
Wheel of
while
Time
since I've read it.
compendium.
Yeah.
So someone can tell us in the chat. But I do know weaves, at least people of the same like power. So females should be able to see weaves of other females, right? And then males can't
Oh,
see. Um,
right. Okay. I didn't know you could physically see them. Mind you,
yeah.
it's been a long time. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it was like bad effects or anything. I just didn't click with me. I'm not great at articulating why, I don't think.
Hillary says, "Man, jumped in for a fun conversation. Now stuck in another Wheel of Time combo." It's a brief detour in talking about Stormlight adaptation. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I think Stormlight magic can work on a large screen for a large audience is actually a little bit of two reasons. One, Marvel. And then two, I like the fact that Sanderson does have rules of why this is happening, what causes this to
Yes.
happen. And if you think about Marvel superheroes, they have their limitations. They have a rule set within their own power scheme.
Yeah.
So you will have that. And I think that the viewer, if they do it properly, will be able to know the tension
Yeah.
of running out of a resource and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I just feel like he's really thought through the visuals. Okay, yeah, book one, they can't be seen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she knows Wheel of
Um,
Time way better than I
it
do.
just felt like a lot of stuff on the screen. But mind you, that's what Sanderson's kind of is. Like if you actually picture Rorschach, it's like visual overload, the spren, the storm, like it's too much almost. Um, it will be very tough to adapt without being kind of like like a hallucinogenic kind of experience
It's a
being on
DMT
Rorschach.
trip, right?
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like Mist one is very clean. It's got a very strong. I always think of like the Dementors in Prisoner of Azkaban,
Hmm.
like this sort of look with like the dark blue skies and like the mist cloak and the coins in slow motion and stuff. Like it's gonna look sick. I think. I
Yeah.
feel like Stormlight's actually a massive challenge to not like overstimulate people when they bring it to the visual medium.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, and it's probably because I don't know anything about film and shows. So that's why I don't review them on the channel because I don't know shit.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying makes sense. I think that's going to be a challenge. And do you think they dumb it down a bit?
Yeah. Because just consider like how many spren are chilling out in the everyday of Rorschach. It can't be. They can't do it. I don't know if they can
Yeah.
without it being too much. It would just be visual overload.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd like to hear Bookborn's opinions on this at some point because she's done a lot of Wheel Time content like around the show and the
yeah.
differences and trying to have good productive conversations over there. And she
Mm.
also did a adaptations and books and like the relationship between those two things as we've seen over the past few decades.
Oh,
So
cool.
it would be cool. And I know she's a huge Stormlight fan too, so I'll have to pick her
Yeah.
brain about that at some point because it's obviously something that she's like really thought about. And I feel like I like asking people who are diehards like you, like that, like
Yeah.
love Stormlight,
Mm.
because I hear you saying, "Well, we're gonna have to make some concessions for this to work," and
Yeah.
then there are people who do not want those concessions at all. You know?
It could be done. You just got to be careful. I think Spren are the biggest issue because like Spren show up for supposedly like every emotion. So what is this going to look like? Like how many Spren can you have?
Yeah. Imagine if it was just like littered across the screen, like they just totally
Yeah,
messed
because
it
that's
up.
how it cut. Yeah, yeah. It's just one of those things. I would just have to tone it down, probably. Yeah,
Yeah. Before says, "Okay, but Jimmy," I'm like, "Yeah, I know nothing about." Well, I did not get that feeling when I watched your videos. I always feel like you are very well spoken and know your stuff. So, you had me
yeah.
fooled, I guess. So,
Yeah, I mean, for me with Wheel of Time, like the shots of characters, the shots of landscapes, and just like the general cinematography was really good. It was
Mhm.
more just like the fantasy elements in Wheel of Time. It just felt, it didn't feel right. I
Hmm.
can't really place my finger on it.
I really, really thought the cast was strong, and I also really enjoyed a lot of the scenic shots that we got. I only watched 3.5 episodes, so I can't really comment on
Yeah,
what's
I
good and
didn't,
what's
I didn't
bad. But
finish it either. So like,
that show always had the risk of not being for me because I didn't like the books. So it is what it is,
Yeah.
right? I wish it the
Yeah,
best.
like we're not like super Wheel of Time people, so
Yeah.
maybe maybe it was just never gonna happen. I don't
On
know.
the flip side of this, so like I really like Witcher. I actually
Yeah.
like the show, to be honest. I know that's not in the book sphere, that's not a popular opinion right now. But I liked seasons 1 and 2 of The Witcher, and I've just now read The Last Wish in January. I really, really liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would, I should
Is
say.
The Last Wish what season 1 was?
Some of
Or
it,
okay.
and then some of it's from season 2. It's kind of weird how they've had to adapt it, but like I thought the book was pretty good. I like the show just as much, even if they did change things. And the games will always be the number one reason why I love Witcher,
Mhm.
just because I have so many hours in those games. And Witcher 3 is my favorite game of all time. Uh, but I guess, from what I know from the future books of Witcher, I guess the show changed a ton of stuff. And people were really mad about it. But the show, in the general sense, like with the general audiences, is doing very well. So
Yeah, I'm hearing this a lot where
it's weird.
book readers are really annoyed about season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I really watched the first episode of season 2, which I thought was like very, very, very good, actually.
Yeah, I did too.
I know book readers also think that too. So I haven't watched the rest. I haven't read the books. I've only played Witcher 3 as well.
So good.
But I just see Henry Cavill struggle because like he's so devoted to the books and the source material, and you can tell he's trying to like keep it on track, but the powers that be are changing it. But I can't really say much because I haven't finished the season. All I can say is that I thought season 2, episode 1, banger, absolute banger.
I mean, can we just give Henry Cavill some credit here? In a world where the nonfiction readers run everything in
Oh my
every
God.
aspect of the world, Henry Cavill's over there just talking about Stormlight Archive
I love him, man.
and Brandon Sanderson and positive messaging. And people are,
He's awesome.
he's jacked, he's great looking. And he's just like, yeah, I'm a nerd. And you're just like, that's our boy.
Yeah,
That's our guy.
he's like the king of our people.
One of us. One
Yeah,
of us. Yeah.
he's awesome, and I feel like he's Geralt.
Oh,
I was nervous because I was like so attached to the video game Geralt, but nah, Henry's doing it.
yeah, he
He's
nailed
selling
it.
it. He's amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy when Henry Cavill's Kaladin.
Fuck off. Chris Pratt as Kaladin. Chris Pratt or Henry Cavill. These are your only two options. Pick one. Suffer the consequences. I kind of want him to be Kaladin just for the laughs, to be honest.
Yeah, just like just for the memes. Like you got to get it.
I'd love to see him. Can he just get old enough to be like Dalinar or something? You know what? He's just too jacked to be like most characters. Actually, like he's so jacked. Yeah, it's Chris Pratt. You know what the worst part is? Chris Pratt, like Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of Chris Pratt. Just like how Chris Pratt is in these kind of like action flicks, is so Sanderson. That's the funny, like that's the painful part. Like you could really picture him. Like someone just said him as Kelsier. Like he does have that energy. He does have Kelsier energy.
Oh, you're just
not that I want it.
Scarring people right now.
I don't want it though. I want almost all unknowns for Sanderson, and bring in like a classic.
Bring in Sean Bean.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Bring in Sean Bean as someone, just usher him in. That's what I mean. We could have like a Henry Cavill as like someone. Yeah. Book one, you got it. I'm not wrong, but it's very wrong. Yeah.
Not maybe, baby Kelsey. Hey, JD wanted to know if you had any plans on continuing. I should say continuing because you did start Gardens of the Moon. Do you think you'll pick it back up?
Start it again. If I was going to do it, I was going to start it again.
Yeah.
Look, if I'm honest with myself, not right now because it's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it now. If I'm going to read anything, it would be something like Dune, which I would almost treat as a standalone, or something like the 5th season, just something a little more manageable.
That's
for
fair.
Right now. Just because I'm going in deep lore videos, I can't read Malazan at the same time. Like
for sure,
I don't have this much brain capacity currently, but maybe one day I will.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm looking back now, entering in book 10, and I'm like, thank God I never took a second to look back because you kind of just with you just have to like dive in and just put on the blinders and just go.
Yeah, like don't go back and read because you'll be stuck. I'm
Don't
guessing,
get.
right?
I almost restarted the series like 3 times in the
Oh
first 7
god.
books, just because I was like, I got to reread this. I missed so much. But like, you just keep going and keep going and keep going, and then you get what you out of it. Get what you get out of it, and then you can reread another day, or you can just watch all of the awesome discussions that are here on Booktube, or
Yeah,
some
and you've
really
got a
good
great
stuff.
bunch of people around you who like know it, so they can. You've got a lot of resources, to help
Yeah,
you.
I've heard a lot of people say different things about the Malazan community, but my experience has been very great, and
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by people who enhance my experience. So very thankful. Bookborn says, you know what, Chris Pratt can play Moa.
Oh god.
That
Yeah.
is
All right, I'll take that. Sure, why not?
Henry Cavill's Verity. I could see that. I could see that. If we get Mistborn, it'll be Zendaya as Vin and Kamala as Lynn. I mean, I'd
Oh my
watch it. I'll be
god,
honest.
dude! I'll watch anything with those two in it.
Yeah, let's go.
Timo Bay, get him in everything. Although, yeah, I mean, you know what? Kind of works. Him as Elland, I'll take that. And Zendaya is just too tall to be Vin. If you want to be like lore accurate, isn't Vin like 4'11" or something?
Of course she is. People say David Batista is Dalinar. Huh.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know.
Get behind that.
It's hard. Like I suck with casting.
Yeah,
suck
I
with-
don't know enough people. I know like whoever I saw in the last movie I watched, and that's it. Speaking of watching things, by the way, folks, if you're into mystery horror, I just started watching Archive 81 on Netflix, and that is a trip. It is a series, 8 episodes, I think. I'm on episode 6. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like it's not the best show I've ever watched, but man, is it fun.
Nice. I mean, I know you started it as well, but actually, just to go back because on the Stormlight adaptation thing,
Yeah.
one thing I heard Sanderson say, which makes me scared for Stormlight. He wanted if he was going to adapt Way of Kings, he would have everything take place on the Shattered Plains. As in like Shallan and Yasna are also at the Shattered Plains, so it doesn't feel so disconnected. Not that they'd be interacting with
Right.
the rest of the cast, just that they'd be there, and that the main focus of the show would be on Adolin, Shallan, and Kaladin, and not so much Dalinar. And I was like, red flags showed up a little bit when I heard that because Dalinar is integral.
A little suspect. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, because I'm like, this sounds like a bit of a like, are they trying to market them as like a trio, kind of like Ron, Harry, Hermione thing? I don't know.
Yeah, and when you don't have a main perspective from at least one of the more mature and older characters, it can come off a little young.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Yeah, because I feel like Dalinar is a huge part of the Way of Kings. Not to get too bogged down in it, but his like internal struggle and the visions and all of this is like it's like pivotal.
I mean, Dalinar is one of the brightest spots in Stormlight for me, to be honest.
Yeah, especially Oathbringer.
Bookborn says Sanderson also said that he wrote a Mistborn screenplay where not a single scene in the movie happens in the book. He said it was just an exercise, but
yeah, this is what I mean. Like, he's great. He's trying a bunch of things, but like let's not go too far. Let's not go too crazy.
Yeah. Do you think maybe for him it's like he wants to tell like a different version of it? Like
maybe it must be hard. Like, he wrote it over 10 years ago now, so
Dalinar, not main character. No, thank you. Says Paul.
Right. Imagine Dalinar is just like this guy you cut to every now and then. Like, who's this guy? Is that Adelin's like dad? It just doesn't hit the same, man.
Yeah, and you don't want to like kind of lean into the triangle romance thing, at least not for me, because that's the quickest way for me to be.
I'm so glad that we can't talk about it, but like,
right, but yeah,
I'm so glad that wasn't really a big thing.
I'm glad that yes, I agree. Love triangles not a thing, folks, not a thing.
Yeah.
It would be so important for the Dalinar casting to be on point, but even more so for it to be featured.
Yeah. Sorry.
Bookborn says, but like the Wheel of Time books helped Sanderson understand long series, perhaps the show response will help him craft the perfect Cosmere show one coat. That was what I said. I feel like he's now seeing what kind of changes can impact how the tone of a show or even the core
Yeah.
fandom. Yeah.
The way he reviewed, he put up a review of Dune and praised the hell out of it. So I'm going to take that and say hopefully he runs with going for a Dune vibe for his adaptation.
Yeah.
One can hope. But I watched Arcane recently. I finished it, and for the first time, I was like, maybe Stormlight could look like this, and I'd be okay with it.
So I watched 3 episodes of Arcane. Not my thing, but I can acknowledge that it's a phenomenal show. It just didn't do much for me.
Honestly, it's like the episode 3, like the episode where you're meant to.
I don't think I
get
finished
sucked in.
episode 3, so I will give.
Okay.
Listen,
Okay.
I'll give it another shot. Okay.
No, do what you want. I'm just saying.
But no, you're right. I mean, I should probably finish the episode.
Like that was like I was lukewarm, and then episode 3 ended. I'm like, all right, I'm in. You know.
Yeah, I agree with you. When I saw the animation style and everything, I was like, oh, this is the jam. Also, Castlevania, folks. I started that. That show is metal. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so metal. Also,
I actually haven't seen clips from that.
Dude, you should watch it. They're super short, 22-minute episodes. You should definitely watch Castlevania.
Yeah, I can watch that. That's
nice. Baron says, what about a show like Sex in the City, but Shalon is every character?
I mean, I'd watch it.
I got nothing going on. Why not?
Dude.
We'll do watch-alongs.
Yeah, I just feel like Jace is awful. Yeah. I mean, this is Arcane. Yeah, Jace went in directions I didn't expect.
I definitely need. Oh wait, Alan, you told me that you weren't going to watch Arcane because you were a hipster, and then you watched it.
Oh, did you like it, Alan? I would love to hear what Alan thinks of it.
If I know Alan, he's going to say he liked it, but he hates that everyone loves. He said Jinx is also awful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Castlevania is awesome. And Noel says, I love Death and Robots, Jimmy. That is one that I'm going to be very interested in trying out. It's like episodic animated episodes, but each episode has a different animator.
Oh, that's sick. That's
cool.
Like
Black Mirror kind of, but animated. And it just sounds interesting. I'm definitely starting to get a little bit more relaxed with the type of shows I watch. Like Castlevania is just amazing. It's so good. I would love.
Are you gonna watch Vinland Saga, or are you just gonna keep it?
I'm gonna read it first.
Okay,
definitely gonna read it first. With manga, for some reason, and anime, I think I would rather have that experience going in first.
Yeah,
because sometimes, especially with younger characters, the voices on English dub can be like brutal.
Squealy. Yeah, I said that when you were in the bathroom. I'm like, English dub, ain't it?
Yeah, and I know that I can watch subtitle and that's fine, but I would rather just read it at that point, I think.
Fair enough.
So, I like reading, so been waiting Castlevania so long. Yeah, I've watched season 1 of Castlevania, which is 4 22-minute episodes, and I'm like, this is perfect. Oh, dude, it's perfect. Now it's
a bit longer.
It's 88 minutes for the whole season 1, and then season 2, 3, and 4 I think goes from 8 to 10 episodes, but they're all 22 minutes.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's nice and quick. Very
awesome. Oh no, it's okay. It's all good. Some people don't like animated adult fantasy.
Yeah, like the thing is, like, that's why I was a bit like, what's Arcane gonna be? Is it gonna be a bit, like I really kind of went in a little skeptical. I mean, it looked good.
We all have our
biases. But it did surprise me that it went to some of the places it did. It's not the best thing ever, but the voice acting and animation is just stellar. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the voice acting and animation is like 10 out of 10. The voice acting was really good.
It was amazing. And the score was great. Give me Rage of Dragons in that style. Please, folks. Oh my God. Also, Blood of Zeus is really good. I've heard this.
Oh, that looks sick. That looks really good. Actually, I saw the trailer for that.
Bookborn is not in the animated either. It's fine. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't like everything. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's true.
But I like to try everything first, like dabble.
And sometimes I dabble a couple times. I tried anime a couple times and I wasn't into it, and then eventually I found some stuff I liked. But maybe it's not at large a medium that I'm gonna always be in love with, but there's definitely stuff there that I can get behind. Castlevania is like a throwback to the old cartoons I love, but it like if it grew up with me, because it's very, very bleak and dark and hardcore, and I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, that was how I felt when I first watched Attack on Titan, like almost 10 years ago. Because like
Hmm.
my impression of anime was like Pokemon, Dragon Ball, like this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And then when I saw how bloody like Attack on Titan was, I was like, what? Like this is a thing? Ooh, let's do it. Um, but we were talking about this before. Do you think like because we're almost getting to that point where we're just like, do we need adaptations? Like, do these need to happen?
Me and my wife talked about this the other day, and
Really? Yeah.
she read the Sarah J. Maas book, Court of Thorn of Roses, and I know everyone like we all meme on it. It's funny, but she liked it. She was like, yeah, she's like, there's some cringy stuff in here, and like there's definitely stuff that people would make fun of. But she's like, I was entertained. It was an easy read, and I had a good time. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
that's awesome. And she's like, I don't think I ever want to see this adapted
Mm,
because, and I think it actually is getting adapted. I might be wrong on that. But she's like, I just think that they would not do a good job of representing this on, like, I don't need to see this on screen. Like, this is very much a
right.
reading only book. It wouldn't stand out on screen. And then me and her had a conversation and we talked about adaptations. And I said, I would be terrified to see a Realm of the Elderlings adaptation because they're beautiful books.
Right. Yeah.
And as soon as that adaptation lid gets cracked, no matter
Yeah,
what
that's what I
happens,
mean.
best show ever, worst show ever, doesn't matter. You'll never be able to talk about the book again without someone going, but the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's how it is.
Yeah.
It just has that wide-reaching thing. Um, and it just changes, like, it just changes your perspective on it to some degree, or just,
Y-
like, the general perspective, and
Well,
if
and
you
it can
hold
rob you
something
from conversations just to be had about the text too.
yeah, I mean, that's the struggle you've had with A Song of Ice and Fire, it's like it's just like but I get it, it's really hard not to bring up the show sometimes because it's
It
like
is.
it's some for most people, it's how they read the books in the first place.
And I
Um,
think that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Bookborn says, I think the reason some people want to see adaptation is because Hollywood seems to have run out of ideas. Yeah, everything is a sequel. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you.
Ugh,
Everything's a remake. Everything's existing canon. They got to use that
ugh,
IP
that's
until
why
it's.
Dune was so fresh.
Oh yeah, let's go. Should be would be tough. Like, would I be excited? All right, so hear me out. And this is in a realistic sense because I don't think HBO is going to pick up another show that has dragons, right? But like, give
No.
me a Showtime or a premium Amazon. I don't care. Just give me a premium television provider and give me a live ship Traders trilogy. It is a family drama with boats and other cool things I can't talk about because of spoilers. But the way that trilogy in itself unfolds through the characters' POVs is perfect for television, in my opinion.
Mm.
Some of it would be difficult, but if the Lord of the Rings could have walking and talking trees in 2000, I think we can figure it out in 2021.
No, the
So,
bar for fantasy is like people can tolerate a lot more now, thanks to Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, and there's so many
especially
fantasy
low
shows now.
fantasy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like some things I read, I'm like, first law, I don't necessarily think it needs to be adapted. I think it would be pretty cool,
It
but
would be
I'm not
cool,
like
but I'd be
dying for it.
terrified. I'd be
Yeah.
terrified, dude.
Yeah. Whereas I read Sanderson, I kind of I think I almost feel like it was written to be adapted in some cases. I feel like he really wants it to when in the way he writes. He writes it like his climaxes feel very cinematic.
Yes, and there are people who definitely, when they go into their books and they write, I feel like they write them as if they're episodes or scenes. I mean,
Mm,
to an extent, I think they all do that. But John Gwen ends his chapters very television esque.
right.
When I was reading Faith in the Fallen, I'm like, oh yeah, like you could easily make that an episode, and this an episode, and that an episode. You can see it. And
Yeah.
I talked to AP. AP was helping me out with some stuff the other day, and we had a long conversation. And I like picking AP's brain because he knows a ton about writing. And I was asking what he thought about George R. Martin, and he was like, one thing that you got to give George is like because of his time writing for television in the Twilight Zone and such, his stuff is so adaptable because of the way he
Mm,
writes. He writes
right.
very TV episodic chapters
Right.
that are good, clean cutaways. And when you're reading it and you're thinking about these things, like, damn, no wonder it was so easy to adapt the books that were there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if you do the groundwork, it makes it easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan says if they adapt Mistborn, they will get Chris Pratt to click Kelsey if they do Storm the Chris Pratt. Yeah, that's exactly what we said.
Oh, don't. Like, just don't say that. Please, it hurts.
Yeah, I do think Faith and the Fall would be a great adaptation. I'd be terrified though that they would ruin it.
That's the thing. It's so scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I like reading. So like I just
yeah.
And I'll be honest, like I'm a pretty terrible TV show watcher. So like there's just some books that I'm totally okay with. Like the one everyone talks about now because I'm reading it, right? It's like Malazan and how difficult it would be, but it is possible to do.
Is it?
Yeah. So I don't know how much I can. There has already been a plan established for that type of thing to happen, and not in a sense where it's like a nice to have, but like on paper, it's been done. How about that? It's been done. It just hasn't been created, but like the structure and everything has been figured out by the powers that be. And I would love for that for Erickson, and I would love it. I'd watch this. It.
Does that come with a lot of cuts and changes? Or?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
But Erickson said when he was on here for Chatting with Nuts, he said that he believes that changing a work, especially socially, is in essence to keep the tone and the spirit of that work alive throughout generations. And I thought that was such a interesting take from someone who has a very tight attachment to their work. And he was like, yeah, I would want them to change things. Like you have to change things. And in a way, it's actually paying its due to the work to update it. And I just thought it was amazing to hear someone who's very clearly attached to their work say that. Because as fans, we go, they shouldn't change a damn thing. Don't ever do it. Why'd you cut young Griff? And then you have this author who's so passionate, and he's like, yeah, change my stuff. Like we got to change this and streamline because it's a different medium. It's just a totally different way of telling a story.
So I think it's inevitable, and I think it is good. Yeah, the main thing is just keeping the spirit of it alive. Like when I watch Game of Thrones, I feel like they've captured the world, when it was at its peak. Like it felt like the books,
certainly,
even if it wasn't exactly the same.
Yeah.
So that's what's important.
And to that effect, like, yeah, they could probably do it, whatever. But like, I'm so okay with Malazan just being Malazan, But for Steve, I would love that. I'd love to see him get.
That'd
paid.
Be awesome. You want to see them like reach the heights, because it would succeed and it would do well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't have to happen necessarily. I think whether we like it or not, all of Sanderson's stuff will be adapted. I just think
you're going to get at least at the minimum one huge adaptation.
Yeah, Mistborn is certain. I would say, like he's killing it in he's making so much money, and like studios will see that and they will say, let's do it because it works. It's just a matter of when and how.
It's only going to get bigger too.
Yeah,
it's only going to get bigger. I think that the biggest hangups are if he's going to write the scripts. Like what we were talking about, Bookborn was talking about him like changing a lot of stuff. So like, hopefully he isn't his own worst enemy. And also it's going to depend on what studio he sells it to.
No, he's already sold it.
To who?
I think it's concerning. I think he said DMC.
Okay.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does that mean? Something? Because
they're like a studio who owns the Cosmere, basically.
Interesting.
It's more about who gets to direct and stuff. That's
probably
the key. Yeah,
it'll be Henry Cavill and Chris Pratt,
executive
producers.
God, no, I really, I mean, we've said it all, but I really think it should be newcomers, fresh faces for sure.
Yeah, fresh faces is pretty important, like you said, with one established role. Honestly, the dad from Dune, I don't know his name because I don't know actors.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac would be a great Dalinar. It'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, I could see it. Like in some time.
Yeah, Faithful Fall would be a very doable adaptation. It does not have to be a super big budget. Yeah, I almost think that they would make a good film, like a trilogy. I know it's a quartet, but you could do you could probably turn it into a trilogy and cut some things. And Faithful Fall would be an excellent, like, epic fantasy trilogy with a little bit of a lower feel, I think. But I don't know. The Last Duel flopped so hard, and I know it's not straight
Did you
fantasy.
watch it?
No, but it's on HBO Max, so I'm gonna watch it maybe this weekend because I've wanted to watch it so bad. I heard
I've
it's
heard
phenomenal,
things. Yeah.
but it flopped.
Yeah, because I heard it flopped, but then I also thought I haven't seen any advertising for this
Oh
movie.
yeah, they did a disservice. The best advertisements if you go and you watch what's his name? I'm blanking on the guy who created it. Someone help me out. He did
Ridley
Alien.
Scott?
Yeah, Ridley Scott. Thank you. So Ridley Scott, if you go around and look on YouTube, there's compilations of him cussing people out during interviews. You're like, so what really was the story behind The Last Duel? Because I thought it was this. And Ridley Scott just looks at me and goes, I think you would have to be absolutely empty-minded to think that. It's like, damn, dude. Like
Dude.
you should have been blazing the trail before the movie came out. Because people like one of the tweets had like 1 million retweets, like where he's like, "Oh, piss off!" Like he's just
Oh
being
my
grumpy.
god. Because didn't he released two movies like at the same time? What was the
Yeah,
other one?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So it was like, which Ridley Scott movie will you watch?
He helped direct and produce the first episode of Raised by Wolves on HBO, which is a weird sci-fi that I kind of liked at first, and then it lost me. But he only did the first episode of that, from what I know. Which coincidentally was the best episode. And then it kind of like teetered from there.
Mhm.
But yeah, The Last Duel is excellent. But I wonder if like, is there still an appetite for those big medieval-esque engagements? There has to
That's
be, right?
that's the thing, because like I feel like The Last Duel was like the first one in a while. That was just like a standalone movie, medieval setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad marketing. Um, I feel like there is a market for it. I feel like it was just not marketed well.
I hope that that's the case because, maybe Ridley Scott won't ever make one again, but I hope somebody does because, like, I don't know.
Wasn't
I
there?
love
What
that
was that
stuff.
other movie? That A24 one? Is it The Green Knight?
Oh,
Is
The
that what it's
Green Knight,
called?
which was very stylized. I mean, that's a one to start an argument for. I liked it. A
I
lot of
haven't seen
people,
it. I'm
a lot
intrigued
of
though.
people. Now, one thing I will say, they definitely bait and switched everybody. They
Oh,
did.
for real?
Oh,
Really?
yeah, it's not epic. It's not. It's very trippy. It's very artsy, very
Oh,
stylized.
I didn't think it was going to be an epic.
Oscar bait. Well, a lot of people say The Green Knight, and they kind of showed a couple clips of this action, but like it's almost a silent film, bro. Like there's that little dialogue.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from the trailer, at least. I mean,
Okay,
it's
well,
A24. It's always going to be a bit artsy.
I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about A24. I'd watched them. I didn't
Uh,
know. I didn't know it was A24, and I thought I was going in to see like some kick ass stuff, but I still liked it. I walked
right.
out of the theater. I said, "Well, that wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be."
Okay, yeah.
And I remember I streamed that night. I think I streamed that night. And man, people were in the chat in here and they were like, that movie sucked ass and all
Really?
this stuff. Yeah. People were furious. And I was like, oh, I liked it. And people were like, you're dumb. I'm like, yeah,
Oh, damn, dude.
certainly.
I'm just gonna watch it. It looked cool.
Yeah, Noel hated it. It is super
Really?
it's so
Oh,
pretentious.
is it like really like?
I loved
Okay.
it. I loved it.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard if those movies that take themselves very seriously. It's like,
As Alan would say, it insists on itself.
hmm,
Or
yeah. I mean, but Dune took itself extremely seriously too, but I didn't find it pretentious.
nah,
You know what I mean?
Dune just slapped.
Yeah.
Dune was just chef's kiss.
If we get anything from this podcast, it's that Dune slap.
Dude, yeah, whenever we were talking about like, well, what do we want to talk about? And we're like, we'll wing it. It's like, well, we're gonna talk about Dune.
Yeah. Because and just I could keep going, but like the whatever effect they've done for the voice was crazy. Like I was shaking. Like not just from the sound, but like it was like so otherworldly. And it wasn't just like let's bass boost his voice or something. Like they did some freaky stuff. I
Yeah,
just found it very unique.
I
Yeah.
haven't bought a movie in forever. I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy it.
Oh dude, get the 4K.
I think the last movie I bought was Interstellar, actually.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, I loved it,
yeah,
Stellar. Yeah, I
phenomenal.
went through a little 4K Blu-ray phase. Um,
Uh,
it's definitely worth it for like the heavy hitters. Get it
yeah,
get it physical.
I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to get Dune on 4K.
Oh yeah, the shame is they're not putting the IMAX shots on it, which is brutal.
That is brutal because that's how I saw it.
Yeah, and I looked on a comparison of YouTube. It is a whole different movie in IMAX. Like you
Yeah,
got so much more free real estate.
20%,
Uh, I-
20% more movie.
Dude, it felt more like 50% more when I was looking at this comparison. Like, God, it sucks.
Well, I watched it on
I didn't
HBO
see that.
Max and it was good. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But the IMAX was a different experience, without a
Oh
doubt.
man, it
I
was
hope that they like
wild.
play it again, like when the second one comes out. I hope they play
I'm
the
sure
first
they
one up for like
will.
3 months or something.
I
But
just love how he had the guts to put Dune Part 1 in the title when 2 wasn't even greenlit or
bro, there were people
anything.
in my theater that groaned whenever it said part 1. I heard something, "Are you serious?" I was like,
It's just beginning.
tremendous, dude.
I saw Part 1, I got hyped. I'm like, yeah, dude,
Yeah, I was like, I'm
let's
in.
go.
I'm in for an epic trilogy. It's been so long, man, since we had something
Yeah.
to get excited about at the theaters. At least for me, because I'm not into Marvel. So
Yeah, like same. I like it, but I'm not like I can't wait. It's just like I'll watch it.
yeah, I'll catch it when it comes on Disney. Maybe.
Yeah. So Dune feels like the first thing in a while. Since like the Lord of the Rings and the Harry Potters, like those, because it got so YA for a while, but now it's like we got something again.
Yeah. Something you
It's
can dig your
exciting.
teeth into too. Like you could watch a movie multiple times and pick up new things.
Yeah. Slightly
Absolutely.
too many visions, I would say, though. Slightly too many.
Maybe.
Maybe a few too many.
Maybe. We'll see. It'll
Yeah.
pay off in the end. Just wait.
Yeah.
We'll see. Just read book 2.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, we're coming up on 3 hours, and I think I'm going to go get me some dinner. I got some Indian food waiting on me, and I also
Ooh,
have The
nice.
Crippled God by Stephen Erickson to read. And
Damn.
it's gonna happen, man. I'm gonna be wrapping up Malazan maybe this month. What do you read? You just diving into Stormlight, right?
Yeah, I'm not reading anything. I'm just reading like through Stormlight, putting it together.
Well,
So, yeah.
I think we all can agree, and chat will agree with me that we're excited to see what you come up with, and to take your time and do it your way. And we know it's going to be excellent.
Thanks, man. Yep. It'll be ready when it's ready.
Hell yeah, man. We're
Yeah.
on your time. We're on your time. Folks, if you haven't subscribed to Christian's channel, it's down in the description. It's called Lost in Discovery. I mean, he has some first law stuff on there, but the bread and butter, man, of that channel is always going to be Stormlight, and he's done a
For
wonderful
sure.
job there. He's covered One Piece as well, but the Stormlight videos, if you're even interested, you should go check it out. And if you've read it, I read more Stormlight faster or quickly because I wanted to watch more of Christian's videos, and he made even some of the parts I didn't love better and enhanced. And I think that you do a wonderful job of visual storytelling.
Thanks, man. And thanks for having me on.
Of course,
It was fun. Yeah.
it's a good throwback. People might not even know this because we have so many new people. This is our 3rd episode.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Number 3. A lot of content here.
there was a part of me, and for a while there, I was just trying to get you on as a co-host.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh man.
Yeah,
What a
and
throwback.
yeah,
And then Alan came in, the king.
I say you and Alan have always been my my thoughts for like if I needed a permanent co-host, I knew who I wanted. So
Yeah, man, anything's possible. You never know.
You're always welcome here, my friend.
Thanks, dude.
I'm glad you're back.
And yeah, thank you. And thanks for everyone for hanging out.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And we'll do it again shortly, I'm sure. We can't help it for talk for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Everyone in chat, thanks for coming out. Go subscribe to Christian's channel. If you want to hit up the Patreon, it's down in the description, optional, but always appreciated. Hit like on the video so people can find it afterwards. And I'll be back in 2 weeks with another guest and another episode of Chatting with Nuts. Christian, thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone be good, be safe until I see you next time. Remember to always keep turning the page.